All right, this is going to be the easiest bullet anyone has ever made. Because since Wayne is traveling, we are doing a pre-makeup game. I don't know what we call this, but there's only been like not even a week. It's like 6 days since the last game. So who wants to make an easy bullet?
We walked, we talked, we rode a horse. We met a pirate.
I can give the recap, but I have 4 bullets.
I have a bullet.
I would be happy to go for my 5th.
Why don't you give the recap then?
Let me hold on. Let me get a drink of water here.
Jeez, he should get a half a bullet because he's got notes.
It's only 3 1/4 pages of notes.
That's more notes than I took in my entire tenure at college.
I dropped out of college. That's neither here nor there.
And I'm not surprised by either.
Mm-hmm. All right. So the very first thing on my notes I will not read because this is not a negative episode. So we started out, in the woods, or I should say, out on the open prairie. Philip's arm was healing at a prodigious rate. We had a brief conversation about what may have caused that, and everyone agrees that it was not magic water. Modamar and Philip started...
Everyone alive, anyway.
Yeah, Modamar and Philip both begin to develop feeling, but it's...
Feelings,
yes. But it's painful, and it's like it's like quickly warming up from the cold.
It only starts off.
That sort of strange tingly feeling when you're out in the cold and you come in. It's really, really warm.
It's tingling.
We head northeast towards St. Louis. We find a stream of fresh water and some abandoned foodstuffs that were left there by some ists or people fleeing ists. We weren't really sure which. Songbird sees 3 riders up ahead that are about 10 miles ahead of us. They change course and they head directly east toward the river. We're pretty confident that they weren't ists, they weren't soldiers, and they weren't mercenaries. When the party presses Songbird about who she is, what she wants, Dr. Marshall gives Songbird a physical where she discovers that Songbird has a long scar bullet wound along the right side of her head. And Dr. Marshall theorizes that
you're not going to read all 3 pages of
that she had used 2 vials of the regen injection to heal herself.
Later. Good game, guys.
The injury may have caused her amnesia. It may have caused her amnesia.
The MP3.
God damn it!
3 hours.
All right. So Lee's off alone, crying like a bitch, like Lee's a bitch. Let me see how. And then Lee, like a bitch, runs back and notifies us, like a bitch, that the rest of the part. And
you do not have bitch written there. You're editorializing.
Modamar, genius, and Songbird, lovely young lady, stay behind and wait for the stranger to return. So we see this weird stranger, right? And we stay behind as the party splits off to go off to, I don't know, frickin' Falloutville and hide while we stay behind to see this stranger guy. These strangers, there's 3 of them, right? Wait, there's 3 of them. They're having an argument, right?
Right.
And one of them splits off in the middle of this argument. The second guy kind of oscillates on between which one he's going to support, and then he leaves, and the third guy stays behind, right?
Right.
So Modamar tells Songbird, "Hey, let's just wait here, see what happens." We watch for a bit. Modamar just says, "Screw, I'm gonna go talk to these guys." Right? Oh wait, you talked to them before the argument occurred?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
See, that's why I got to read my goddamn notes, Shad.
You know what? Brevity is the soul of wit.
So anyway, we watch for a bit. Modamar goes down, and
he
does. Right. Modamar goes down. They talk for a little bit. He says, "Hey, I'm Pirate Dahooty," and
Mortimer's like, "Ooh,
no, Arturo Craig, which was on my notes on the next page that I would have gotten to before Chad busted my balls so hard I freaking had testicular torsion. Anyway, so Arturo Craig, Modamar talk. Modamar explains to Craig that Joe's dead and that things have kind of gone sideways. And Modamar comes back to where Songbird is, and we wait. Then they have their argument and they split. And so then Modamar says, "Hey, you wait here, Songbird. I'm going to go back to the party, let them know what's coming on, so we can have the party come in." Right? So then, next page of notes.
If I give him one of my bullets, will he stop?
Yeah. Let's see. So it turns out that through conversation and discussing things with Arturo, we learned that it was one of the reasons that, or say the main reason, why the Vine had never been attacked on the river is because Arturo is a river pirate and has a lot of juice among the river pilots and made sure that we did not get attacked. But he also reveals that it was he who had been hired by Pops to attack the ship, right? But he came too late and some other peoples had waylaid the ship, and that's why everything went sideways. Go back and listen to the first episode, because Chad is giving me the quit reading your fucking notes look. Let's see. The Duchess survived. We head back to St. Louis. Modamar and Phil are in intense pain to the point that Dr. Marshall has to heavily medicate them both with morphine because they're getting so much feeling back, and it's terrible and uncomfortable.
Just can't stop touching each other.
All right.
Feelings. I don't want to deal with them.
So we hear bombing going on to the north. We don't know what that is until we get back to town. And
the bombing is you reading these notes.
Holy shit, you're a bastard. I skipped a whole page for you, Chad. I skipped a whole flicking page. I had flash memories of rat make. God damn it. So anyway, Fu Man Pastor Lou decides that he's going to go ahead. We go to church, and Lou says, "You guys can go ahead and go into the town, but before we do that, let me go find a neutral party." So we find the neutral party, and they say, "You guys can go into St. Louis," and I'm like, "No, crap, that guy's the leopard." And then we ended the game. Is that better?
Thank God. See y'all next week.
Brother, there's your butt.
Thank you. Now, if you actually want to know what happened and you don't want to listen to the episode, when I scan these 3+ pages of notes in, it'll be very, very firmly detailed, although my notes are all Mike-centric.
Okay.
But I'm sure they are beautiful.
And more detailed than your character sheet is.
I have pages of character sheet, and all the important detail is not on this piece of paper because it's all secret, because I'm playing the real game, Chad.
That's true.
All right. So when we had left off, a military advisor to the local guard, who, I don't know if you guys got her name or not. You caught that she has a rank of colonel.
Mm-hmm.
But he advised her to organize a way for you guys to have safe passage. And you guys are instructed to go back to the church and to remain there. Well, we'll handle Snarpig. Says, all right, so the colonel says to you.
Yeah, this is the woman? Or
yes, the colonel's the woman, yeah.
Yeah.
Her captain is leopard.
I am going to need...
We don't know that yet, right?
Not in character.
I'm going to need some time to make some contacts and see if we can get an agreement to move you guys. Go back to the church. Wait there. I'll send for you as soon as I have any kind of definitive word on whether I've got the passage, and if so, how, or if it's just not going to happen. Do you guys go back to the church, or?
What do you guys want to do? How dangerous would it be to if we just push on ahead ourselves? I asked her this.
Oh, you asked her this. The honest answer is that I don't know. There's certainly intermittent street fighting. I could recommend for you routes that are the least contested. I think the biggest threat you would have is one side or the other mistaking you for, well, the other, and simply gunning you down or attempting to in the middle of the street. You don't exactly look like a band of refugees.
And who are the sides?
Everyone versus the machine. The machine versus everyone that's left behind, that it's discarded.
We obviously don't look like we belong to the machine, but...
You could be common labor. You don't look like you're higher-ups, but you could be common laborers, soldiers, spies, scouts. There's any number of things you might look like. I can send word up through my own people to lay off of a group of your size in certain places. Communication amongst cells right now is a little bit imperfect, but it should at least reduce your chances. However, once you reach that red line where control shifts, I don't know how you'll be greeted.
How do your people tell each other apart?
Uniform.
So, let me just see if I understand this correctly. None of the houses in the machine are fighting each other, and that your group is representing the quote-unquote people, and the people are fighting all the houses who are coalesced together as the machine?
I'm not sure how much I care to divulge because of the sensitivity of this information, but your understanding isn't entirely wrong. I don't have some romantic notion of war. I'm not a politician. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that this is the people's war to take back their rights and land and whatever else someone would say in such a speech. What I will say is there are people that are tired of being left out, trodden on, used as a resource, and they've reached a breaking point where they're willing to take up arms and to try to find a different way for St. Louis and all that encompasses, not just the old city, but its entire territory.
So is Holloway and Kohler at peace right now because of the larger threat?
I don't know that I would say that's quite the case. It's fairly common knowledge that both the Duchess and what's the guy's name? Head of Holloway. Insert name here. I'll find it in my notes.
I don't know. I have so many pages of notes I need to go through.
His name Ethan Winslow. It's no secret that both Duchess and Mr. Winslow are under house arrest, and their forces are being carefully monitored. The overseer is clearly concerned. I've noticed that in our skirmishes and our more open shootouts, we've been fighting the overseer's soldiers. We haven't encountered any house troops yet. So either they're being iced or they're being held in reserve. Whatever the case, there seems to be distrust and uncertainty on their part. So I'm not sure that I would say that you're going to walk in there and find everyone holding hands and singing songs.
Dan, out of character, does Lee know the relative size of the machine's military forces? Basically, what I want, because I don't expect like specific numbers. Does St. Louis have a legitimate military, or are they a paper tiger?
They do have a legitimate military.
And what about these assholes? I mean, I wouldn't have numbers.
It's going... Okay, so here's the thing. St. Louis works as an organizational industrial center. What St. Louis has a serious problem with is obviously in an urban area, you don't get a lot of natural resources.
Mm.
Things like food, lumber, ore. I mean, there's some of the stuff you can scrounge from the remains of the city, and then there's going to be stuff that you just plain have to get from outside. So St. Louis, under the overseers, does have the ability to field a substantial army. They do have some late industrial era weaponry, including a small number of planes. They have a fair number of artillery pieces, both large and small. But if they don't secure their resources and find a way to keep them going, if there really is a broadly supported people's uprising, then they have to win this pretty quickly, or they're going to be choked out. A siege of St. Louis, it may take a while, but it will work. And so some of it's also going to come down to logistics. She's not real likely to tell you.
Right.
Like, for example, exactly how well encircled do they have this city?
Yeah.
You know, on the south and west side where you are, they have it.
Walked right in.
Yeah, you walked right in. But you walked in, not out.
Yeah, that's true.
And you also obviously aren't a supply caravan.
And we walked how many days from the south, and we didn't see a single refugee.
Correct. So clearly there is peril here to the machine. Now, how serious it is hard to say from what little you have.
And later on, I communicate all of this to you guys. Well,
if you want to try and brave your way north and talk yourself into whoever's custody, I have no intention of stopping you.
Either way, I think we'll need to discuss and think it over. We probably shouldn't make a decision like that standing here in the street. So maybe we should go back to the church.
I'll start feeling out my contacts, and in the meantime, you have your discussion, and
if we decide to go, we'll let you know.
I'll be back to check on you in a few hours.
Thank you.
After she leaves, and we start walking back. What's in it for them? Nothing's free. Why would they do that? What's in it for them?
They didn't seem to want to support us at first. Something changed their mind.
If I was in her position, I absolutely wouldn't. I mean, you'd get inundated with 1,000 requests like this a day. We have nothing to offer
Something
them.
changed their mind. It was after she figured out who you were.
Did she? I don't remember perceiving that.
I don't recall that being the case.
But then again, he's crazy too. So
He may be.
But she definitely recognized you because we rolled for that.
Yeah.
Remember.
She asked her captain what her captain thought, and the captain recommended that they get us an escort into the city.
So what does the captain get out of us being in the city?
And did we hear the captain say to Songbird something to the effect of, "You'll be surprised with what you see, or I'm going to show you something amazing"? I don't remember what the wording was.
You're going to
Is it
really
in your
like what
notes?
you find.
Oh, okay.
Is there anybody else in earshot?
No, it's not hard to walk a few paces the right direction, wait until people pass by.
I will indicate that the party should follow me, and I'll get to a spot where we're relatively unobserved, and I will whisper, but obviously for the sake of the audience, we'll speak
Speak aloud.
volume.
Okay.
But whispering, I say, they want you in the city. That man, her captain, worked with Rat and me.
You recognize him?
Yeah. Yes, he's Leopard.
Your
Animal friend.
leader?
There's somebody above Leopard, somebody that Leopard reports to, but yes.
Eagle.
For all intents and purposes, he was in charge.
Here's what I think's going on based on what I've seen. Rat's movements have led to this civil war.
Not just rats.
Not just rats, but rats' movements
Leopards,
were key
mine.
to it. Leopard here is part of this force fighting against the machine.
There's another one. There's another team of 3. I don't remember which animals they are, but there's another one.
The whole point seems to be to weaken St. Louis. Why would you want to weaken the strength in the area unless you're looking to move in? If they want us in there, it's because they think we're going to keep this war going.
Well, it depends on why you would want to do that. I could think of a lot of scenarios where someone would want to do that, but it is all based on one piece of information we don't have. Who do you work for? And I don't say that accusingly. Obviously, you don't remember, if I believe that. But
whoever it was seems to want St. Louis destabilized.
Right.
And I think that's why they want us in there, because they think we'll continue to destabilize it.
So you have no recollection at all of either where you're from or who you worked for?
No, I don't.
Do you have anything on your possession that could provide a clue? An ID badge?
I don't.
A book? A note?
No, I don't. The only thing that I had, as I'm starting to raise my voice, I realize that and go back to whispering. The only thing that I have are those goggles, and at one point, the skin suit that you described that Rat had when you searched his body, I had one too. I don't know what happened to mine, but I had one. I remember Leopard had one. We all three had one when we were in the cave I described.
Let's walk backwards a second, because now what we're trying to do is we're trying to go from where you came from, which is hazy and in darkness and unknowable, to where you are now. Let's work backwards and see how far we get. We know the story of how you met us and why you're here.
Right.
Why were you in the Carver... No. What were you doing in the Carver clan camp? Seemed you worked for Ma Carver.
I inserted myself.
They seemed to treat you like a slave or servant or something lesser.
They were kind to me. Not kind. They
didn't kill you, rape you, eat you.
Right.
For them, that's kind.
It is.
They knew me. Mm-hmm. And I used their recollection to my advantage. And I ingratiated myself to the new Ma Carver and became her servant.
If she worked with Rat, maybe she knew her before she lost her memories.
Oh, they knew Rat.
Maybe they knew you from then.
That is my assumption as well. But I knew that I had to go there. That note that I showed you that was in my handwriting, I knew that I had to go there because I knew that you had been taken, or that you had been. I knew that you had been persuaded, lured to go to the Carver clan. Why, I don't remember, but I know that.
We weren't lured. We were kidnapped.
I knew that that's where I was going to find you, and I knew that if I made contact, I had to make sure that you didn't make it to St. Louis because Leopard wants you in St. Louis.
How long were you with the Carvers before we showed up? It doesn't sound like very long.
Do I remember, Dan?
I think it's actually on there. I think it was. I don't remember the exact amount of time. It was either.
And when you say
some
on
number
there,
of weeks
for the audience, what do you?
Right.
Oh, okay. I gave Brodor a character write-up with some blanks in there. He still hasn't filled out, and but
he's got notes.
But no, in there somewhere it should in your background, because it has in there things like the clips of what he does remember about his past, and it also does then have some more detailed notes on where the memories coalesce again and time resumes on what the character remembers.
Well,
and I think it is in there. If it's not, I remember it was somewhere between a couple weeks and maybe at most a couple months. It wasn't like a day, but it wasn't some.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a specific time frame, so let's just say weeks.
Yeah, it was something in the neighborhood.
That's
like
long enough for
4 to 8 weeks.
So at that point, we hadn't been taken yet.
Well, let me ask you a question, Summonbird. You work with them.
I did.
Yeah, and help further their aims, which I assume you did of your own free will, and all that sort of stuff, right? We assume.
I did.
And now you are giving us advice and guidance, which we appreciate, to go against their aims and their goals. Why?
Casey says, if I may point out the obvious here, if that captain really is your boss, and he had simply said, no, these are spies from St. Louis, gunned them down in the streets, it would have been a pretty one-sided and quick battle.
Just look at the rest of you, and
why are you against them now? I'm not questioning your veracity.
I don't. All I remember, we were in a clearing. It was something. There was something in the ground. It was half buried, and it scared me. I mean, truly frightened me, and everything that I had done, every life that I had taken for them up to that point, every bit of purpose that I felt, it was gone, and I was revolted.
What was in the ground?
I don't remember. I just know that it was awful, and the next thing I remember, it was me versus the two of them. And then
they're probably the ones that shot you.
Yeah.
Were there more people there, or was it just the two of them?
It was just the two of them, but like I said before,
Were there horses there?
I don't remember.
Could you hear water?
I just remember the field. I just remember them. I don't even remember what made me so upset.
Were there trees, or was there an open field?
Something else has been bothering me. Maybe you have some insight on it. So, we were told near the end of his life that Rat had not hired the Carver clan. They had hired him. Now, what ensues only makes half sense to me. So they hire the Rat Man, guy who's clearly intelligent, clever, knows his way around.
And insane.
Insane, but
focused.
He brings them he brings them their heir apparent. The only payment I see him getting out of this is a journal of observances of the night sky that belonged to a friend of ours who was killed in an accident. That book was buried not all that far from the St. Louis proper. Now, he would not have known where that book was without manipulations. But getting it, the Carver clan took a risk going in to get it for him. It would have been easier for him to hire locals to do it themselves. What was his payment? If the Carver clan hired him, what was his payment? What were they paying you in?
I don't know.
That also doesn't add up with what we heard of him when we were in the Carver camp. It certainly seemed to me that he was manipulating Ma Carver and getting her to do what he wanted.
I don't know. All I know is that you shouldn't have come to St. Louis in the first place.
We didn't have a choice. And we're here now.
Right.
We don't want to do whatever they want us to do, but that's not our first concern. Our first concern is figuring out this cure. Then our second concern can be not furthering their plans.
So, on that subject, I have a couple of ideas. One is that we wait, and we wait for this captain, person, whoever she is, to round up an escort and walk us to the hospital.
If Leopard wants us to go, I have a feeling it'll happen.
I have a feeling that if he wants to show us something or do something to us, we're not going to go to a hospital. We're going to go to this thing.
What group do we go to? We get to the hospital, let's say. At the hospital, we get these two cured. Mm-hmm. Let's just presuppose this all goes according to plan.
That's a lot of presupposition, but I'm with you.
We walk into the machine in the middle of a conflict like this. We need a sponsor. We need someone that's watching out for us. If we walk in there independent, we're going to get scooped up by somebody anyway. We might as well pick who the party is.
The overseer.
Kohler owns the hospital.
No, Denham.
Denham, I'm sorry.
It's a third party. It's not one of the houses that have been involved in the dispute.
Look, we're here, and our intention is to go in the city. All I ask, if we're going to do this, let's leave and sneak in before the Colonel and Leopard come back.
I think that if Leopard and the Colonel come back, they're going to have a party, and they will not take us to the hospital. I think when we get to the hospital, we're going to have to sell something.
Yeah.
But we're a little on the desperate side right now. So, since you two are the ones who have the problem and have the most to lose, what do you want to do?
I think we should wait for the escort. If they don't take us... We've asked to go to the hospital. If they don't take us to the hospital, we'll know pretty quickly that's not where we're going. But we'll know something. Mortimer?
I think they're fucking us.
That's a given. Everyone in St. Louis wants to.
Well, it's because it's so pretty.
The Rat Man, and I hold up my space coin. Say, the Rat Man was with the Ists. And this Leopard's with these people, these rebels. We don't know who Songbird was with.
It's true. Where's your army?
I don't have an army.
He's a captain. How did he get the rank of captain? Isn't that awfully fast?
Because
you saw him. If your memories, I understand they're fuzzy, but if your memories are correct, you saw him a relatively short while ago somewhere else where you freaked out, got shot in the head, wandered to the Ist camp, met up with us. How in that amount of time does someone become a captain in the local guard?
Because everything that's going on, it was building prior to that. It was being built. The three of us were a destabilizing influence.
He already had the legwork to step in.
Okay.
That had already been done.
You don't remember anything.
I don't.
No, that's fine. Let me try a different angle then. You were you, your personality, your skill set, when you were destabilizing things. Let's say you were still on their side right now. You wanted to keep destabilizing things.
Then I want you in St. Louis.
Apart from that, I need something more specific. What's your play? You do what with us?
If it were...
Where do we do the most damage?
Okay, look. Leopard was the strategist, Rat was the manipulator, and I had a different skill set. But
Which was what?
She kills shit.
I killed many people at their instruction.
So you were the trigger man.
Yes. So if I were going to do this, I would look at the three of you, specifically Motomar and Lee, as my biggest sources of manipulation, because I have someone who is a divider of people, but charismatic, sociable, well-known, highly intelligent, and an X-mask. Am I correct?
Yes.
For House
Color.
For House Color. And you testified, not you, because you said your friend Joe did the majority of the testimony, but you testified on behalf of House Color.
They did, yes.
And that's when everything went pear-shaped, correct?
Yes.
And you testified against House Holloway?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was House Holloway and House Color that started this, that destabilizing influence.
Yes.
So who put you on the trail of the conflict between House Color and House Holloway? How did that start? How did you become embroiled in that?
Did you fire the shot at the trial?
I hope not.
It started.
And if I had, the Duchess would be dead.
Well,
It started in our town.
Unless your order wasn't to kill her.
and
In
You
that
might-
case, she would be maimed.
I would also advise you and everyone else here that statement never gets repeated ever again. Take it from your minds.
And that's your pain point. That's your point of manipulation. You won't pick. And so you will lay out the options expertly. You will lay out both paths, and then someone else will make a decision. It gives you plausible deniability, but it also makes you a risk because no one knows what side you're really on. No one knows how to trust you. And that they'll use against you. You are the boy who would be king. You are the prodigal son for the force that Rat was using, that Rat was manipulating, who had hired Rat. And I guarantee you that whatever we were up to, we were the ones in charge manipulating them, even if they thought that they were making the decisions. They were bulls with a ring in the nose, being pulled in whatever direction we chose. Now, St. Louis is destabilized. The relationship between the houses is tenuous at best. The people who had manipulated both the Ists and the rabble to rise up against the machine are working together, which means the continued destabilization of St. Louis, if St. Louis truly is under siege and is a matter of waiting, how long will it be before the people who've taken over the Ists join forces here or start raiding things that are provinces and properties, assets of St. Louis, that St. Louis is forced to send assets against? So if it were me, I would dig in. Second, I would have the Ists start harassing the variety of supply lines and anywhere supplies would be coming from their outer provinces. Places like your home, places like Herman, places like Washington.
Herman might actually be safe in all this. I thought the opposite.
But then, if I got you inside the city, I would manipulate things so it looks like that you're serving one of the houses and that you are somehow in league with the people outside, the people that have besieged the city. Because you don't have any loyalties, you've left a house, you're an Ist who's, the heir apparent of the Ists who are causing turmoil and raiding our supply lines on the outskirts.
You asked how we got involved in this. It was our town. Our town was changing from House Kohler to House Holloway. A messenger was supposed to come deliver the message of what was going to happen and that we would have supplies. The messenger never arrived.
Mm-hmm.
When the message got to us that our houses were switching, the everyday people that work, started to fear for what the next year would be and that they couldn't provide for their families. Our town almost fell into its own civil war until Lee and myself stepped in, came up with a plan, and calmed everything. And stopped the war from happening, basically.
So it stopped the Civil War at home from happening, but
Exactly.
sparked the Civil War in St. Louis.
And that put us in the eyes of both House Holloway and Color, because we were the factor that stopped the war from happening in our city. Both houses, someone tried to kill us, and it looks like it was Holloway. Holloway didn't deny that. Color brought us in.
The Colonel's going to come for us eventually. If we just sit here, that becomes our pocket vote. If we don't want a pocket vote, we have to pick. We either ditch the city, or we pick somebody we're going to. Straight to Denham, we go straight to the Overseer, we go straight to Color. I don't think Holloway would do anything but kill us. Or find some worse way to manipulate us.
The more we talk, the more I agree that we've been pulled around and manipulated, and if we want to get to that hospital, then we should do it on our own.
Thank you.
By our own decisions and means.
We don't necessarily have to hand ourselves over to Denham or the Overseers either.
We're just going to a hospital.
We can go to the hospital. All we have to do, we know we have to pay.
Right.
The higher up the chain that we have to pay to, the less it's about money, and the more it's about
Information.
problems, service.
Yes.
If we can get in unnoticed and pay off some lower level person, it'll be expensive yet cheaper, if you understand me.
Yes.
Well, if the decision is that we are going to go into St. Louis on our own, then we need to move quickly.
Yes.
Because we don't have any idea how much time we have.
Should we... What's the doctor's name?
Marshall.
Dr. Marshall.
Is she here?
Yeah, oh yeah, she's with you.
Dr. Marshall, I think that we've kind of gone beyond our original agreement with House Color. And that agreement was with Joe.
If you're asking if I want to switch loyalties...
It's not about switching loyalties. If you don't want to be here, I mean, there's nothing for you. We can't pay you. I appreciate your friendship and your company. I truly do. But you did not join us because you chose to. And if you wish to leave, I can do nothing but support that decision. There is nothing to tie you with us. And we are going to do something very dangerous.
Lee, my sister, who is the closest friend that I have ever had, got herself killed following all of this around and living out on the river and sitting around those stupid horses for reasons I can't fathom.
Because it's what she loved.
Yeah, I don't see anything in there lovable. But until I figure out what that was, her death is never going to make any sense to me, because her life is never going to make any sense to me. So I'm not going anywhere.
I certainly appreciate that, because there's definitely no cure without you.
If that was a spelling joke,
It was not a joke.
Well, does anybody have anything they need to get?
See,
No.
how do they choose an overseer?
The overseer. Okay,
And
so
I explain this.
yes,
Okay?
so within the machine, there is a concept that's somewhat derived from the present day concept of servant leadership. That one of the necessary functions of any machine is a controlling factor, an operator, a control board, whatever metaphor you want to use. So the overseers are their own house. Now, they wield the greatest power militarily and legally, but they manage directly no resources. They have no claim, apart from where they sit, they have no claim to territory. They do not create their own food. They do not bring in their own machined parts. All of this is derived from the rest of the machine. So the machine is dependent upon them for direction and for peace, and in return, they are dependent upon the machine to have any relevance. To answer how the overseer is picked, that's an internal affair within the overseer house. The overseers, plural, because there are layers to them, are probably close to their closest parallel in the other houses would be the mast. So these are people that are uniquely educated, charismatic, diplomatic, and there's a line of seniority and skill and some internal voting, and there's all this kind of sort of like think Renaissance era court of cardinals level maneuvering and such that results.
It's like Venice.
Yes.
We have doges and the cardinals. And
exactly. That results in the selection of the overseer.
So all of that goes way over Mortimer's head, and he just kind of scratches his head and says, well, wouldn't it be easier just to have one guy?
That is an interesting question, asked down the ages. So,
and what if all of this was to get rid of all of that garbage and just have one guy in charge?
What if that one guy goes bad?
well, I see what he's saying, though. I mean,
Oh, I see what he's saying, yes. But that's why you have the layers. One guy can go bad.
Well, what I'm saying is,
What if Dr. Marsh says, what if the overseer created the chaos to grab power?
well, what if?
I understand
I mean,
his question, if that's all.
There could be 1,000 different factions that we're not aware of. I mean, what if with Jacksonville, the
NAS.
what if the NAS? What if Herman was behind this? What if anybody could be? What if Ma Carver had this brilliant plan and she was just pretending to be crazy?
what I'm saying is that you got the Ists threatening, like Songbird was saying, they're showing weakness. Cities showing weakness, right? What do you do what does a predator do when the herd is showing weakness? They start picking off the sick and the old, and right.
Right.
If St. Louis is weak, it can't protect Cape. It
And
can't
if there's
protect
no-
Herman. It can't protect.
So then everybody turns to the chief and says, "You can't lead us right. You're not doing a good job." And they get rid of the chief and they elect a new chief, a strong chief. Songbird and her people are pulling all these strings, pulling us all along by our nuts. What if the idea was set me up to lead the Ists and say that who protects us from the Ists but an ex-masked friend of the leader of the Ists?
No one's setting me up for leadership, if that's what you're saying.
Just makes sense.
I certainly wasn't communicated to me to be the overseer.
And it wasn't communicated to him to be the next leader until we got there.
I highly doubt anyone is going to set me up as leadership.
I agree. But
I agree as
that
well.
doesn't mean somebody else isn't already in position to take that leadership role.
Okay, inoculation against analysis paralysis. In 5 minutes, the colonel will return.
Well, we need to leave. I mean,
Yeah. We know we're going to the hospital. Let's worry about the rest after that.
Do we know where the hospital is?
You do.
Yes.
I also remembered what Resta stood for, but I won't burn your time by telling you. I'll tell you later.
That's where we know we need to go. We can figure out the rest there. Every time we turn around, we're finding out more information to make a decision on. Let's wait until we get there to make it. I know that doesn't sit right with me. I like to plan ahead. But
Well, I can make a map. Work with Mortimer. And Mortimer can lead us to the hospital. It's a forest. There's no trees. There's just bombed out buildings.
Concrete jungle.
There you go.
That's what Pops used to call it.
yeah.
Yes.
How about this?
he also used to call it that damn dirty place.
Yeah. How about you leave, or we leave right now? You and Motomar stay in close proximity, constant communication, and then Motomar leads the way. Philip, Dr. Marshall, and Casey are in the middle, and I will back up the rear. And then we will go, and we will go right now. We do not have time to make a map.
Okay.
I agree.
Philip, I want you to take an inventory of everything that we have to sell, both for literal fiat currency and also metaphoric currency, depending on how high we have to go up.
Okay.
But let's go.
Somebody help me put the backpack on. I've got enough charge left in the cell for one more use.
I'll help him.
I can't lift it.
Okay.
Okay. Casey gets the frame set and deployed. All right. So, all right, is that what you guys are going to do? You're headed to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, yes.
Okay. I'm stopping the timer then. Okay.
Do we still have our
This is-
horse? We don't have our horses anymore, right?
So, Dan, when you do a timer, it has to be a kitchen timer. Because it ticks.
Well, I know I don't have a kitchen timer handy. All right. So,
We
Wayne,
have the horses.
to answer your question on horses, I don't recall you guys ditching them.
I like my horse. I've made friends with my horse.
I mean, what you guys choose to do with them at this point, obviously riding the horses through the town, louder, more obvious, but faster.
I need to name my horse.
The
Maybe
reason,
we could do a poll on the Patreon.
the reason I ask is because they are things that we have of value to sell.
It would take a lot to convince Lee to sell the horse. He became friends with it.
Well, you have 3 other horses, the 2 GCs and 1 regular, so you at least sell 3.
But those are in Cape.
Yeah, well, I know, but my point is you could,
We
in
do a
terms
letter
of
of credit.
net law, sell 3. And,
Yeah.
All right, so,
If we leave our horses, they'll think we're still around, and they won't chase us.
Lee's like, what?
Motomar's right. So, weigh the horses as trade goods versus the obfuscation. I say we leave the horses. But this being a democracy, that's just my voice.
See, it needs to tip.
I know. Tick, tick, tick. All right, what's happening? You got 2.5 minutes.
If we're
Fine.
sneaking, we're not bringing the horses.
Great, good.
Fine.
The horses stay behind.
We'll come back and get them. Okay. Or we'll get you a new one, a better one.
So. We head out.
Okay, so, Motomar, you are leading the way. Mm-hmm. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you your scouting check
Okay.
against, honestly, between smart, social, agility,
Can I add to this? Because I am...
I'll go down a second. So let's start with his base roll. Because you are both going to help and you are going to hurt.
What?
So...
Well, if I add my smarts and my social together, it's still not as high as my agility.
Okay. Then use your 3d6, best 2 of the 6, or best 2 of the 3, excuse me. Plus your agility. This is you leading the way.
16.
Okay.
If you add your smarts and social together, it is one above half of my smarts or social.
So here's what I need the rest of you to do. Give me a 2d6 plus agility.
For me or them?
For everybody. You may add a total of 4 just off of the agility bonus that he gave you. Did anyone not make a 12?
Yeah.
We add 4 from his?
Yes.
Then yes, I'm good.
Let's see, that's a 12, 17, I'm sorry, 12, 17 plus 4, yeah. I'm good with the 21.
Okay.
I made
I'm at a
17.
13, so I barely made it.
Yeah, and Casey's roll, his roll alone was a 10. Dr. Marshall, yeah, her roll's a 6 plus his 4 is a 10. She ain't got a 2 agility. It's not high, but it ain't 2. So, all right. So, you guys are going to make the sneak part okay. All right, now, Chad, what I want you to give me is 2d6 plus your int, or your smarts, or whatever. And I want you to, this is going to see how efficient of a route, how much wandering there is involved. And don't botch this one, because if you botch this one, you may just straight lead the group into a bad place.
Would 13 be a botch?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
All you need was a basic success.
I rolled a 3.
That is, okay, as long as you roll 3, that's not a crit failure, so we don't drop any numbers
Jesus
off
Christ, I can imagine it. So we're moving along, and then we stop. Modamar looks at Lee, and Lee's like, well... hand on chin, we could, if we go this direction.
No, it's going to be more. He
It's
just
like talking to my grandparents about the best way to drive anywhere in St.
yeah,
Louis.
except this was going to be like the drunk guy trying to get you home on New Year's, and he takes you straight to the sobriety checkpoint. That's more what we were
They're
rolling.
so nice, and they know the way.
Yeah, that's more what I was rolling on, is to see is by accident of whether just misremembering the layout of the city or not knowing what the current military situation is. You just walk them straight into a checkpoint, which you did not. Okay. So it takes a little bit, but you guys do, by mid to late afternoon, make it to the edge of the Resto facility, which actually now remember the history of. Resto is actually, it's a consolidation of the resources of Washington University, Forest Pharmaceuticals, and Monsanto. That's where it got its name. And it is in a hospital that is built post-modern day, and is used as a research facility and treatment facility, mostly in its lower levels. So that's where you guys are. All right. So when you show up there, there are a handful of denim house guards, which is unusual because, as I mentioned in the game where you guys first encountered this facility, Denim tries to keep this particular facility pretty neutral ground. They maintain it, they own it, but its resources, its workstations, so on and so forth, are supposed to be broadly shared by the various houses. Now, they have other facilities that aren't so shared, but this one is. So to see their guards making any substantial show at all is unusual. But the other thing you notice is unusual is, despite a fair number of them hanging about, they seem to be armed only with sidearms. However, you see about a dozen overseer, like St. Louis Army level guys that are standing about with much more formidable weapons and armor, and they have piled up at one corner of the hospital, not inside of it, but outside of it, up against a corner of the wall, are 2 box-fed machine guns and a bunch of sandbags. Now, they are not set up, but they appear to be, ready to deploy should the battle make it this deep into the city. Now, on your way here, let's talk about what you guys saw on your way here. So on your way here, you started off in the farther out parts of town where there is some damage from recent fighting, but really more of it is neglect and cobble work that simply speaks to neglect, speaks to time and age without really a whole lot of attention given to this place. And you saw a lot of people that were in the streets, that were living in very rundown houses, but this is not, particularly to those of you that were from the area, you would know this is not unusual for how this place works. When you guys start to approach where you understand the battle to be occurring, you do hear intermittent gunfire, but between Lee's suggestions on routes and Modamar's understanding of how to avoid such things, you guys manage to steer clear of whatever that is and simply not encounter it. After their bombing run, the pair of Banshees have disappeared. You're guessing they've landed somewhere, and you have not seen them relaunched again. Once you guys get into the city proper, things start to look quite a bit... It's tenser, but it's calmer in the sense that nothing's actually happening. There's a lot of nervous looks. You can see the facilities that you recognize as belonging to various houses. They are sticking to their front lawns, so to speak, but they're all watching the streets quite carefully. You pass by several patrols or troop redeployments from the Overseer's army. You guys are generally left be. You might get a question or two, but you don't. While you don't look like refugees, you also don't look like an organized military incursion. So you are able, on that alone, to slip past, and you are now at the front of the hospital. The Overseer's Army, or the St. Louis General Army, those troops are watching you guys. You're not sure if it's because of Casey's frame or your number or what it is, but they're watching you nervously. But it is two denim guards, once again sidearms only, that approach you and stop you outside the door. And one of them says to you, "So what's this about?"
Well, a couple of my friends have contracted a disease. Nothing contagious, but we were coming to see a doctor to see if we could get a cure.
We're hoping to speak to Golden Crescent.
Wayne, give me a charisma check on that. Social check on that.
Okay. 12.
Okay. You definitely see his expression change at the mention of the name. I can relay a message to him, and if he's willing to let you down, we can see to that. With no ill will meant, the fact that two of your friends are sick, quite frankly, doesn't mean shit to me.
Understandable. But yes, that would be...
So what message would you like relayed to him?
Well, you talk to him the most.
Leonid and Persead's owners wish to speak to him.
Dr. Marshall steps forward and holds out a glass vial and says, "Give him this." Then he holds it up for a moment, unsure what to make of it.
Don't drink it. It's not booze.
Oh, it's empty. It's an empty. It's one of the vials of the what actually did do the healing.
Right.
It's...
Tell him that message and give him that vial. And that should be enough information.
He whistles and the...
Persead comes over the hill and kicks him in the face.
and stomps him to death. The St. Louis guards kind of wander over your direction. They don't directly get in front of you, but...
No, we're not making any moves.
Yeah, the ugly looks make their thoughts clear. And he goes inside, and he's gone for a few minutes. And then he comes back up, and says, all right, here's the rules. You guys have to leave every weapon you've got, or anything that could conceivably be used as a weapon, implement of sabotage. Quite frankly, we've got a pretty broad definition right now.
I start taking off all my clothes.
Do you really?
Yeah.
He means
What
business.
the fuck is he doing?
His body is a weapon.
Then, okay, there's one of two ways it's working. Either only his clothes are going in, or he puts that back on, and he goes in with them.
Oh, you heard the man.
All right, I'll put my shorts back on and hold my hands up like, is that good?
That's close enough. Keep them on. No, I'm talking about things like knives, rebar, guns, bombs.
Can we get a receipt for these?
Fine, we'll give you an itemized list if you're...
Excellent.
I'll wait here.
Suit yourself.
I'll put all my stuff into a pile and just kind of lay it at
All right.
Songbird's feet.
Yeah, cutlass, knife, collapsible baton.
Yeah, he does...
Armor? Does
Like
he,
Mad
do they
Max.
want armor?
No, they do take Casey's.
Oh, sure.
But they do not take... No, actually, Casey says, I'm going to remain outside as well.
Well, I pull to the side. I go, the hospital has electricity.
Yeah, and
I could do it for you.
I need a refill on more than just electricity. I should
I can
probably...
grab some stuff for you.
All right. Tell me you want Pit Fighter Serum number 6. They know what that is.
The bubblegum flavored one.
Sure.
And I also take his energy cells. I'm
Yeah,
gonna try and find plug it into an outlet. So.
That's actually not too far from...
Yeah.
Well, they can recharge one of two ways. The other is a direct hydrogen injection.
Right.
This facility's capable of both, so...
So I look at Dr. Marshall before we go in. So, on my list of things we have that I thought that Golden Crescent would be interested in, those vials were the number one thing I'm hoping we can use for payment. The 3 of them with whatever liquid is drops of liquid. I figured he would be very interested in.
Scrapings from the vial or even the story behind them might be worth payment.
That's my number one.
You
For
guys,
him.
once you have deposited your weapons, you guys are led by the 2 house guards, one at the front, one at the back. They take you to the same elevator you were on before and are taken down via, I don't remember if it was a cargo elevator or patient elevator. Remember, it was the unusually large one because you got the horses up and down it. And you guys are taken down to the floor below, where, despite what's going on outside, things appear to be moving along really as they ever and always have. Is your chair not rising?
No, my chair has sunk all the way to the bottom, and it is not going back up.
I think you have to... Did you pull the lever out? And then I think you have to...
Pull it out?
And then push or lift it up.
Yeah.
And...
Nope.
Did you push it down?
Yeah, it's all the way... Oh, there we go. Oh, it's down. Gotcha.
Oh, it's down,
There we
not
go.
up. Okay.
Yay, Rotor to the rescue.
Yay.
All right. When you guys are taken downstairs, Golden Crescent, still in his strangely smiling mask, meets you at the elevator. He has a pen in hand, no paper, no anything. You no idea what he was in the middle. He looks like he just walked away from a task.
Mm-hmm.
And upon seeing the lot of you, says, you weren't experimenting with that horse serum, were you?
Oh, I wasn't.
No, we weren't experimenting with
Because I have literally no idea what that would do to a human brain.
No, we wouldn't do that.
They would do something far worse.
We have a story for you, and we need help.
Let's start with the disease. I don't know what you've just brought in here, and I'm certainly not letting you into the clean area until I do.
Fair enough. Dr. Marshall, I think you'd best explain that.
All right, she runs down the whole... she runs down the story of the experiment at the cave and what was going on there and what she believes you've contracted. She shows him the pre-war notebook that has all the journaling that was done by the CDC personnel and the park rangers and DNR and all that stuff. And he looks it over and says, this is fascinating stuff. Plasmid work, even if unintentional, on genetically engineered bacteria attacking fungus, and a virus gets involved. It's quite complex.
So can we get off the elevator?
Oh, yeah, of course. You can step forward. I just can't let you back into the lab. So what are you looking for in return for it?
2 of us have contracted that super version of rabies.
I got that part.
We're looking for a cure.
Oh, fair trade. Done.
And showers?
Okay. I think we can make that happen.
Casey's medicine?
Yes. And I rattle off super soldier serum number 17.
Can you guys come up?
Flavored.
Actually, he would have.
Pit fighter concoction number 6.
He actually does
Chanel
have
number 6.
money. So, Chad, that one is actually done through a straight cash exchange.
Okay.
But he actually does have money, so he sent you down here with a small stack of silver coins.
Okay.
So that was done actually by standard cash transfer. So he's like, we'll take care of recharging the power pack and giving you some more of the injection. Now that's easy enough.
Something I feel you should know as you start with this.
These 2 are in love. I hope you're okay with that.
It's purely sexual.
They're not getting married, if that concerns you.
The vial...
Living in sin.
I'm not qualified to marry you anyway. That's really not what we do here, but congratulations. It's a wonderful thing to find love out there.
That is not what I was going to say.
Still,
Don't tell our daughter that.
and it is their daughter. It's great.
That vial that was sent down is the only reason we're not insane right now. So, while attempting a cure, we have that in us as well. That may complicate things.
It very well might. I don't know what that is. It's not anywhere. We have a reassembled complete registry of medications that dates right up to about the point that the bombs dropped.
We believe it is nanotechnology.
Whatever it is, we can't find any record of it. It's experimental. It's
a matter of
because those
days,
records are on the moon.
A matter of days ago, my arm was almost unusable from a gunshot.
It is.
And I pull up sleeve and show him that there's no marks at all.
All right. Well, if you'll just wait here for one moment, I'll be right back. And he goes into the lab.
I can look over at Lee. And if that hadn't been enough, our blood was going to be the next thing I offered because I know he's going to draw it.
I could have showed him my pelvis wound too.
There might still be some blood draw. I do not take my eyes off of him.
Oh, there will be. I'm sure he's going to have get a sample of blood out
Oh
of
yeah,
this.
he comes back with
A syringe, not guards.
Correct. He comes back with multiple syringes on a tray, and he says, "I think that's perfectly reasonable. We'll give you. So if you think, I mean, you seem lucid enough. You seem your cognition seems good.
It's come back after the medicine.
That's great. So that means that at this point you are effectively asymptomatic, which means that a simple rabies inoculation should hopefully do the job. If it doesn't, I'm not sure we have anything to help you, or if we did, it would take a long time to do, and to be honest, you'd probably be dead before it worked. We're going to draw some blood, and, well, that's the trade.
I assumed it would be. Having seen what this can do, I hope you're able to get something out of it.
Oh, I'm sure we will. It's a shame it will, how it will probably be used, but a mutated strain of the lyssavirus will have a lot of potential buyers.
I was hoping the nanotech would be your.
I'm sure we'll look at that.
Get out of that.
I'm sure we'll look at that too.
You just see this look come over his face of realization and dejection. And he puts out his arm.
He just stands there like, yep.
Yeah, you're not trading them a cure. You're trading them a bioweapon.
Yeah. Which was actually one of the other things he had intended to trade them as a possibility.
While he's drawing the blood, he says, can you please... he says, the journal, we're going to want that too.
I assumed.
So he draws a vial of blood from each of you.
Not me.
No. Each of you is in Modamar and Phil.
Right.
And after which he gives you each an injection.
Not me.
No, not you. And he says,
I'm not getting married. So.
That's a it's a single course inoculation. Should get you creating your own natural antibodies. It should take care of the issue. If what you have really is, in fact, rabies.
Just the one shot.
Yeah, I mean, I could go draw a saline solution if it would make you feel better to have additional shots.
No. And Motomar just kind of nods and holds out his arm like, you go ahead and do it. And then he kind of looks off into, like, space and just goes, bye, Joe.
He says, I'm sorry, are you seeing somebody?
No, not anymore. I'm a one-man man.
Okay. I guess now's a good time to get all these things out. If you know, it's good to cut ties before you make new bonds. So.
Lee is in the corner, slowly banging his head against the wall.
After he says, if you just follow this hallway down, you'll find a labeled shower facility on your left. You're free to clean up there however you like. And when you're done, the two gentlemen that brought you down here will see you back to the door.
Excellent. Thank you.
Are you going to run any tests that would give us information that would be helpful in the meantime? I assume you're going to immediately start testing this.
The test is you don't die. Or you do.
You want to know if the inoculation actually works.
Yes, I do. What we are giving you is quite valuable, but my life is quite more valuable to me, and I want to...
Perfectly reasonable. We'll just need to wait about 48 to 72 hours, at which point we can check and make sure that we see the proteins and such that we expect to see in your blood.
I kind of catch Philip's eye as they're saying that. I just give a quick... I shook my head no.
We'll think about it and see if we can stay around that long. But I do appreciate that. Let's get cleaned up.
Oh, yes. Thank the Lord. And Lee heads off to the showers.
Yeah, Dr. Marshall goes with you.
Right.
You guys find shower facilities with... It's kind of like a bank shower. When I say bank, I don't mean like First National. Yeah, I mean a bank of showers. I mean like a locker room.
Right.
So this is you're not in a patient's room. Mm-hmm. This could be a decon facility. This could be it could just be, quite frankly, what was a locker room for employees here. Its prior purpose is lost on you, but you guys do find a bank of showers, and if you have more than one set of clothes, you're able to take a shower to wash your clothes, to do whatever it is you need to do, and then...
Excellent. I take full advantage. I have clean socks for the first time in weeks.
I don't even know how to operate the shower. I'm looking for the chain to pull so the water will come out.
I turned it on for him. And these are fully functional. Hot water.
Hot water, whole 9 yards, yeah.
Oh, my God. I look at Modemar, I'm like, welcome to heaven. And then I turn on the hot water.
I jump back. Put my foot under it just first. Where's the water coming from? There's no tank.
It's a mystery.
All water is magic.
Apparently.
All right. So I'm
I
assuming
don't smell like a foot anymore.
you don't smell like an ist camp anymore.
Right.
You don't smell like cannibalism. So after you guys spend 30 minutes, an hour,
3
whatever,
days taking a shower.
you guys are taken back to the top by the 2 house guards. And they take you back to where Songbird and Casey are waiting. And
I've shaven. If I could swing a haircut, I'd get a haircut. Can I swing a haircut?
not in there, no. I mean, could you? Are there places in the St. Louis proper that would give you a haircut?
Well, sure.
Yes,
No, in there,
absolutely,
not in there.
but not in there, no.
Can I get a pair of scissors? Could Phil give me a haircut?
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't bring the scissors with us because those would be a weapon.
Well, we asked, can we have a pair of scissors? I'd like to get a haircut. Because we've been on the road for like 2 months or something.
Yeah, I mean, come in. I mean, if nothing else,
I want to shave.
You are within the St. Louis proper, and you are dealing with a fair number of masked individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Finding a personal hygiene kit is not going to be terribly hard.
Right.
So, I mean, this is not a professional haircut.
No.
But giving yourself a basic, do it yourself or have a friend do it level of trim and a straight razor. I'm talking the strop and everything sort of
Oh, that's
shave.
how you do it.
If you wanted me to
that's-
cut it, I would have make an agility roll.
Well, does Dr. Marshall, would she be willing to cut my hair?
I mean, she will. She's
Yeah.
not a barber, but...
No, but she has a straighter hand than Captain Rabies over here.
That's true. And actually, the haircut she gives you is, I mean, for post-nuke, pretty good. I mean, it's
Right.
not great.
Well,
You don't look like $1 million, but, I mean, you actually look pretty
feel like
decent.
$1 million.
Yeah,
and that's what's important.
And she does give you a good shave because shaving is actually part of a...
Oh my God, she gives me a shave too.
It's part of medical procedure.
That's amazing.
Shaving surgical sites is a fairly common practice. So that's... she would actually know how to do... Unlike a haircut, she would know how to do a shave.
So I do ask her though, based on everything you've heard, how much faith do you have that Modemar and I are cured?
You want to feel good or you want the honest answer?
I want the honest answer.
50-50.
Okay.
Roll it.
Roll it.
As she's cutting my hair and shaving me, which like Lee did not ask her to do, Lee actually falls asleep in the chair.
She pays no heed until it's time to go, at which point she
I
wakes
drop
you
Enos
up.
on his head.
Oh yeah, so clean though.
Modemar sees if he can get like a pair of like sweatpants or something because he's like, my skivvies are rotten.
You get
It's time for his 5-year change in.
It is, yeah. That is so incredibly true. There are, yeah. Your underwear might as well be a viewing platform. It's got so many windows. So Dr. Marshall actually probably gets you some skivvies before you even ask for them.
Okay. And then I also, I'm going to shave myself, and I'm going to shave every piece of hair off of me.
Oh,
Probably a good idea.
you're
right?
finally deloused.
Yes. Yep. So when Lee wakes up, I'm completely
Shorn and naked.
shorn and
He's
naked.
straight Pink Floyd the Wall.
My eyebrows,
It's
everything.
like, this isn't heaven.
He's got-
This isn't heaven.
I was going to go with a professional swimmer.
He's got a model of a city on the ground, and which he's LARPing Hitler over. It's really weird.
I go back to sleep.
All All right, so you guys are escorted back up. You are, once you reach the top.
I look at Songbird, all clean and shaven and haircut. I'm like, we tried to get out of there as quick as we could. I mean, really.
Casey stops you right outside the door. Takes whatever it takes, the stuff you brought for him, but kind of motions over his shoulder, said, if you want to see the overseer, we need to make a beeline.
I guess it's that time.
Because I think we're getting in demand. I saw Timid walking around.
Timid? Oh, shit. Time to go. Lee turns around and says, let's walk and talk. And he starts walking.
Okay. See the overseer? He'd head straight east to the arch grounds.
Heading straight east. Into a minefield.
Well, figuratively. They don't literally have it mined, but...
That we know of.
The overseer's in the river?
He's at the river. They're only in the river when it floods.
Because just right across the river is some of the best cat houses. That's what Pops always said.
Pops would say that. He did love cats.
Oh, yeah. He did.
Okay, so at dock, as you guys reach the arch grounds, the old man Mortimer, not Motomar, though you've since learned that Motomar and he share a name.
My bro.
The old man's place is open. The general marketplace is largely closed. There are a few of these stalls that are still open, selling very bottom barrel basic necessities. But there's not a whole lot of trade occurring. And the dancer, which is the sort of light riverboat warship sort of thing that House Color has, is anchored right by the ports, and there are several wooden ships of various makes and whatever that are currently moored to it and don't appear to be going anywhere. You guys, upon approaching the arch grounds, see...
We go to the marketplace.
Okay, so you walk around the arch and over to the marketplace.
Yes,
okay.
to the restaurant we go to with the crazy guy.
Okay, so to Old Man Mortimer's.
As you leave that way, I thought we were going to the overseers.
I want to talk to everyone first.
Okay.
And I think we need some dinner. Or breakfast, or lunch, or...
And hooch.
Maybe a little bit of hooch.
I don't think hooch is the best idea if we're going to be talking to the overseer.
Hooch and cooch.
I remember last time you got drunk and then talked to somebody from St. Louis.
Yeah, I was not drunk. I was on morphine. And it sharpened me. Or at least I believed it did. I don't really remember what happened.
We head to the restaurant.
Okay. You guys walk into the hostel, and when you walk in, there's a pretty good crowd of people inside. By the look and smell of them, you've been around this long enough, you recognize river traffic. These are people that are stuck here. This is no different than going to a hotel when they have to shut down an airport. That's kind of what this looks like to you. So it is damn packed out with people. In addition to Old Man Mortimer, Bull, Steve Harris, his sort of muscle is helping him.
Is he tall and bald?
Actually, yes. I actually just kind of went ahead and ran with the night court thing.
Excellent.
More intelligent, but otherwise, yeah, pretty much. And there are several people that appear to be working with Old Man Mortimer that are not normally part of his staff to try and handle this sheer number of people. You know, even within this hostel, which is pretty well packed with places to sleep, people are going to be sleeping all over the place if they have to stay the night here and don't return to their boats. But when you walk into the place, you can the people that are in there are all turned, kind of circled towards a point somewhere kind of in the middle of the tavern area of this, and the ones that are near tables are pounding on the tables rhythmically. The ones that are not are either clapping, stomping their feet, or both, going drink, 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 and then you hear them, yeah, all bust out in cheers. And it's, let's hear it for the captain.
I try and peek over which captain.
You see about a 13-year-old girl being hoisted up.
Excellent.
And she is, her eyes are looking separate directions, and you have no idea what the hell, if any, is going on here. And sitting not too far from her, watching disapprovingly, watching bemusedly, you see Alejandro and your guys' crew. You also see Captain Bill, who just seems disinterested, and Cyrus, who looks...
Didn't they head to Cape? So we thought.
That's what we told them.
You thought.
Fair enough. How'd they beat us here?
Great questions.
All these things run through my mind, and I'm like...
And our boat wasn't out there.
So, upon at least one of her eyes seeing one of the 2 to 4 of you guys...
Probably Casey.
So one of the 2 to 4 Caseys, she squirms her way down from the people that are hoisting her up, and like a little missile just shoots through to you guys and goes, "You stupid sons of bitches! I didn't expect to run into you guys forever."
Lee just looks at her and just like gives a really deep sigh.
She kind of stumbles forward and grabs the edge of your coat, and she's like, hello, salute, or you'll be cleaning the bilges.
I salute.
Emily?
She salutes you back.
Do you want the questions or the bad news first?
I think we need to tell her.
Joe's going to make me clean the bilges. Because I'm not where I'm supposed to be, and I've been drinking, and...
I put my hand on Philip's shoulder and like look at the rest of the crew.
Well, I guess I gotta give his boat back. Come.
Lee stands up on a chair. And he looks at everybody. Kind of waits for everyone to quiet down.
Okay, upon seeing you stand up on a chair, everyone quiets down, and one guy yells, "What's the shanty?"
Joe's dead.
You get a variety of looks. A lot of people have no idea who the hell Joe is.
Sure.
In fact, after a brief pause, there's one guy in the back yells, "To Joe!" And there's a big toast to Joe. These people have no freaking idea who they are toasting. But even through the drunkenness, Emily definitely gets it. And her eyes focus a little better, and at that she kind of seems sober a bit. She's like, "That's not funny."
That's not a joke. He was shot by an ist through the chest.
She tries to take a step before you, stumbles to a kneeling position, and then pulls herself up onto a chair. You're not sure what's sorrow and what's alcohol. She's like, "The fuck do you mean he was shot by an ist?"
Things have not gone well. And Joe's gone.
How the... You guys are supposed to meet me in Cape. You're supposed to bring him back. How did you get him shot by an ist?
We were kidnapped by the ists.
Kidnap? No, that doesn't mean kill.
You haven't met them.
She motions at Motomar. She's like, "I've survived."
You haven't met them in the wild.
So where are these fuckers? They just gun him down out in the middle of the whatever's there?
We'll give you the whole story later. But the ones that did it are dead.
We got nowhere to be. We got nowhere we can be. How did he die?
There was a cult leader there. His name was Koresh. He did some horrible things. Joe saw him do some horrible things. Joe went after him, and he shot him.
At that point, Lee walks away and walks to the bar.
Koresh is dead. Casey got the final kill, final blow on him. Koresh's people are dead.
I know the intentional part was the first part was intentionally misleading. On the second part, you were actually the one that killed him. Are you intentionally editing that?
No, I thought I didn't get the final blow.
No, you stabbed him. You stabbed him repeatedly in the chest.
Right. Okay. I thought it wasn't enough to actually kill. Okay.
Casey killed a random. Somebody.
Okay.
I think Modamar shot Koresh enough to bring him down, and then you were the one that actually killed him by repeatedly stabbing him in the chest.
Then retro that.
Okay. I was curious if that was an intentional lie or if that was just
no, that wasn't intentional. That was misremembering.
That's what we ended up telling Mark Carver.
That's what he told Mark Carver.
Right. Okay. So
I retro that and
okay.
I killed Koresh.
She gets up, pauses for a moment on the bar. You kind of see her eyes rolling back and forth like she's waiting for the room to stop spinning. And then she walks up to you and grabs your shirt with both hands, you more to stabilize than angry. And she looks you in the face and says, "Tell me it hurt."
Repeated knife stabbings? I would assume that hurt.
She lets go of your shirt. And,
I leave out the fact that I know he had super rabies and probably didn't feel a thing.
And she lets go of your shirt and staggers out of the bar.
Alejandro?
I'll follow her.
Thank you.
He gets up and steps outside.
I walk over to the bar. I assume Lee's kind of sitting there.
Mm-hmm. He actually has Ma Carver's album out, and he's at the back end of it, back going forward.
Lee,
forward going back.
Wayne, feel free to insert yourself within about 60 seconds.
Okay.
So just give me a little bit of lead. Lee, when you sit at the bar, no sooner than you sit down, Cyrus sits down next to you, and
how's his leg?
He appears to be fine. Apart from a very conspicuous and off-color patch, like sewn onto his pants.
Right.
I don't mean patch on his flesh,
yeah.
like
not a nicotine patch,
like corduroy patch sewn onto his. Apart from that, he seems to be and his general fatness. He seems to be walking fine. But he sits down next to you and orders basically leave the bottle sort of thing. Mm. And he holds the bottle and the two shot glasses for a second and says, "Can we go ahead and get one thing out of the way? No one is spitting in anyone's anything."
That would be beneath both of us.
I'm glad we've reached that point. He puts the shot glasses down and pours you each a shot, takes one and lifts it up, and
I hold it as a toast. I go, actually, I need to keep a clear head. I'm hoping to meet someone here in a bit.
At that point, I step up. Lee, I will tell her the whole story later. And now that I'm not brain-addled with rabies, she will know the part I played in it and the fault that I hold. And then I step away back to the group.
You're looking fit?
Whatever it is you were kind enough to part with. Works wonders. Too bad you don't have a supplier. It's not anymore. Otherwise, I'm sure we could have made a fortune. Maybe even gotten ourselves in somewhere nice and safe permanently. Say, southeastern Florida.
That's not where I want to be. And I'm not really looking for safe or profit.
I can tell. You're here. This ain't
Why
a good...
are you here?
Didn't have a choice in the matter. Story of my fucking life, isn't it?
I would assume so.
Assume so. You would assume so. Okay. Well, at least we're not literally spitting at anything, even if we're metaphorically doing so. Good old Cyrus. Everybody's little toy to push around.
I take my shot and slide it toward him.
So, we get down to Cape, as the plan's supposed to go. Have some people actually asking after a few of you guys my name. And we're not sure what to make of the whole situation. Sure as hell aren't going to venture into Ist country looking for you. So we're there a while. And then all of a sudden the dancer shows up. Gives a not so open to interpretation invitation for us to go back north. Hitches both ships and tows us back upstream to here. Now I'm guessing you might know why that is. And now might be a good time to explain it because, well, seeing as how the whole thing worked out, we're business partners.
You and Joe are business partners. I promised you my cut. You can have my cut.
I'd say I'm not after money, but we both know it's a lie. I'm not after money right this second. Look, our boat got drug up here because your boat got drug up here. And
It's
our
not
boat...
my boat.
Well, whoever's boat the fuck it is, it ain't leaving.
It's Joe's mother's boat.
Well, it's Joe's mother's boat or whatever you got his will saying. And you're going to have to get it from a little girl first. She's commandeered it. Not that it really mattered. There's not a whole lot of captaining to do when you're getting towed. But it ain't going anywhere, and neither are we.
I look right at him and I go, phenomenal.
He takes a shot. You say so.
Why did you lie to them back on the shore?
When was this?
Morning your leg got broken half.
About which part?
All of it.
Oh, we were both dancing. There's got to be a particular story you're looking for in here.
To be honest with you, I think I have most of it anyway, but the people who gave you your boat, who gave you the money for it, who financed it, how much did you know about what was going on?
Not this much.
Did you...
I knew he had to have an angle. Nobody wants so little for so much unless they have a very particular use for it. It's sentimentality. You give me this shot glass. To you and me, it's worth nothing. Let's say it turns out it belongs to a family. Was the glass that somebody's great-grandfather took their last shot out of before dying in some battle. Worth a fortune to them. sentimentality, opportunity. Value is entirely imagined. It's the basis of economics. In our level of technology, gold is damn near useless. Sure, few people can still work it into circuit boards or ignition systems. For the most part, it's useless. Has an imagined value. Somebody came along that imagined that the ashes of my life was worth a whole lot of money. Not the sort of scenario you ask a whole lot of questions in because you're afraid that if you do, you might change their mind. Because you start asking questions, you start showing your hand, then all of a sudden they realize, oh, it's actually not worth that much, or maybe I can get away with a much lower price. So I didn't ask a whole lot of questions. Did I have some idea he was up to something nefarious? Of course. Did I know what? No. Didn't ask him either. Because if I ever stopped pretending that I agreed with his valuation of my leftover garbage, then the last shot I had at anything in life was just going to evaporate away like so much mist off the river.
I open my sketchbook, flip through it. I hold it up to him. Who's this the man you made a deal with? And it's my picture of the Rat Man.
Yep.
Would you tell me that entire story again while I write it down? And then would you sign that piece of paper?
Absolutely not. I'll tell you a story if you want it to be the drunken hearsay of a bar, but if you think I'm going to sign it, you're out of your damn mind. You think I don't know what happens in this city if I sign off on a story like that? You think I don't know what happens if I start telling a few things about you?
You tell all you want about me.
Because I know I'm not the only one that was on his payroll. I was just taking much more normal coins.
You have no power over me.
I know. And I don't intend to give you any power over me.
So I'm going to step up behind Cyrus Weiss, and if I need to make if I need to make an agility check to be stealthy, then that's perfectly fine.
Because go on. What are you going to do?
I just want to lean over his shoulder, and try to sneak up on him, basically to surprise him. I'm not going to harm him in any fashion.
You do. I mean, I won't even make you able to roll on that because he's very focused on Lee.
Okay.
When he's like, "Pardon me, miss," and he scoots his chair over a little bit, like he's just letting you up to the bar.
Sit next to him. So you worked with this man, and I'll point to the sketch, assuming it's still out.
Oh, for fuck's sake! And who is this?
He was Rat.
No, you. I know who that was.
I'm Songbird.
You're Songbird. That's cute.
Do you know me?
It's just kind of a dumb name, don't you think? You're Songbird.
So you think Rat's a dumb name?
Well, I assumed it was a...
Is Leopard a dumb name? Now I look right at Lee and I say, is Eel a dumb name?
He kind of cocks his eye. Or his eyebrow. Yes?
You know what this is, and I'll put my space coin on the table. I know it's not a space coin. I'm just calling that for the sake of continuity.
Yeah, not the payment I was accepting.
What is that?
It's nothing. That's the joke. Look at this. Metal. Probably mostly something simple to work in. Tin. Maybe a tin steel alloy. The engraving on it, done with a simple hand tool, probably powered, which is the most impressive part of it. But otherwise, these are just effectively random engravings.
So they don't have value.
Oh, they have whatever value you believe them to have.
Well, I overheard that portion of the conversation.
They're unique. They're difficult to replicate. When someone hands one to you, they look special and presuppose they have a whole lot of value. Mm-hmm. And the difficulty in duplicating them may in fact be of value if Ratman was paying people off with these, or should I say since he was paying off with these, I'm sure it's his way of knowing what he collected is the real thing.
Just Rat, not Ratman. Just Rat.
It's not how he introduced himself. It's not what everyone called him.
It's what the people who didn't know him called him. But that's beside the point.
So, you Songbird, hippie parents, or is that a moniker for something?
It is a moniker. So Lee worked for the Ratman as well, you said.
Yeah.
What did he do for the Ratman?
You think everything that has happened to this point doesn't have his fingerprints all over it?
That was not my question. What did Lee do for Rat?
Why don't you ask him?
Because I'm asking you.
I don't even know who you are.
I told you. I'm Songbird. And he was Rat.
And he's what now? He's dead?
He is dead.
Well, your problems are over.
My problems have just begun. These men, I point around to the bar, how many of them are your crew?
Enough that if you're going to have someone shoot me in the hip again, it won't end well.
If anyone was going to shoot you, I would do it myself. I have no intention of shooting you. I was merely asking you a question. But since you're being difficult, Lee, what did you do for Rat?
I spied for him, and I lied for him, and I stole for him.
And I assume that this is what this man did for Rat as well? Spied, lied, stole?
No. Just sold.
You know those people we saw who were dead in the fighting in the streets?
Yes.
And Joe? And all the ists that were killing each other?
Mm-hmm.
And all the death? The blood's on his hands and on mine. I accept it. He revels in it.
I gave a seal. I gave him one fucking metal seal. Something tells me you did a little bit more than that.
It's not a competition. The blood's on both of our hands. And we need to go to the overseers and we need to tell them everything on the 1 in a million chance we can stop this. My hope is that when we tell them the truth, and I hope to God that Modamar is wrong in his earlier theory, that they will be able to unite the houses and bring a stop to this fighting.
All right, well, I'm going to get out a silver coin, and I'm going to tap the bar with it so I can get a drink.
Okay.
I don't know how long. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that...
He's got a bottle of whiskey, and since Lee gave up a shot glass, if you tap it with a coin, he being Cyrus, just kind of brushes it back and pours you a shot.
All right. I'll take my shot.
We have a no spitting rule.
Modamar walks up behind the group as he's feeling... He was like talking to some of the crew, and he comes walking up and he sees Cyrus and he goes, "Hey, Chubba Chubba! How's the ham?"
He stands up and glowers at you for a moment. Says, you've changed.
Yeah, I shaved.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at. I didn't smell you coming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I've got, you might, I got soap on me.
Good, good.
Mm-hmm.
He, with bottle in hand, walks out of the bar.
If we're going to go
Come join at the bar when he leaves.
As soon as he walks out the door, Lee starts talking. I would like to go to the overseers and tell them everything. It might not be a good idea for you to go. It would be very important for us to get him to go.
Who, Chubba?
Yes.
I'll go get him.
Well, keep an eye on him. Don't grab him.
Okay.
Don't break his leg. Again. He is a man of greed. So the question is, what does he want enough to be worth him going to have the conversation?
His instincts as a coward are much stronger than his desires for wealth. And he's scared shitless. And as much posturing as he just did, he's terrified. And he's terrified of something. And short of shanghaiing him and dragging him to the overseers, you're not going to get him to go.
Maybe he would think it's better for him to tell the story to the overseer than for us to tell his story for him. We're not going to lie about it, but...
He would lie to protect himself. He said as much. They already want him. Which surprises me that he's here, although they're probably not looking for him right now.
If they towed the boats back, and all of them are here in the bar, then everyone that they knew to talk to is probably standing right here. They didn't want any of them, they wanted us. Or you.
Either way, to be honest with you, I'm out of ideas. And I'm very tired.
It's time to just go talk to the overseer.
I will go and talk to them. I don't know what, if anything, they would do or care about you guys. But if they do want to talk to you guys, or
I'm coming with you.
just do something bad to you, you shouldn't stay here.
Dan, Alejandro isn't there, but is it anyone else from our crew still in the bar?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go up to one I trust.
Sure.
And I'm going to motion him over.
Okay.
Point over to the table where Dr. Marshall's at.
Okay.
And Leanne. That's my daughter. If I don't make it back, I'm trusting you to ensure that my daughter makes it to my parents and that they know who she is. Her name's Leanne.
So you just want her taken home to Herman?
Yes.
All right.
I just want to make sure she's cared for if, when I go with Lee, if we don't come back. And I just kind of nod to him and then head back to the group.
I pour myself another drink. And I pour Lee a drink. I hold my glass up and say, I don't feel bad. I did his bidding too.
I don't feel bad for doing his bidding. I feel bad for the people who died.
Me too.
He
hold my glass up and take a shot.
Lee puts a glass down and slides it over you.
Casey comes up and takes a the chair that Cyrus had been sitting in.
Or a couple.
Or a couple. And he probably needs a couple too, just for a very different reason. And says, Lee, if you're going to go to the Overseer, I'm going with you. We made our first appearance there together. Only seems right to book in the story the same way.
Except you almost died the first time.
and this time I'm gonna... The difference between this time and last time is not whether I almost die. It's... You don't have the untouchability you once did. But I would be remiss if not to make one last suggestion. There is one person in the city that knows a whole hell of a lot more than any of us do. More than Fat Ass knows. If her boss really is hanging out in the burbs, oh, the things that he might say if the pliers were put to him.
But if we run out and go and grab him now, we might not come back.
Nope. That's a very good possibility. Just figured I wouldn't be doing you any favors if I didn't at least mention it. If we want to talk, then I say we take who's willing. Let them decide their fate the same way we decided ours. Let's walk up the hill and let's do it.
Let's do it.
I step back. My business is taken care of. I'm ready to go.
You might need to save us.
For the listeners, Songbird is making hand gestures. Brodor is making hand gestures as Songbird.
Look, I didn't go with you into the hospital because I was being difficult. I have things on my person that I didn't want them to discover because they would be taken from me.
And they're going to discover if you go in there. You got two options: sit outside or leave them on the boat. None of our people are going to steal them.
I trust you and your people. What if the overseers recognize me? What if they remember something that I don't? What if they accuse me of something that I did but I don't remember?
Well, you'll have a great legal defense. But really, you shouldn't come with us. I mean, if all of us walk out of there, you probably won't.
Right. That was my other concern.
You should go find Modamar. Keep an eye on the big guy. And see if you two can get him to... Well, he isn't going to change his mind, but get him to come up too.
I think that perhaps Modamar and I may be able to persuade him if a certain amount of duress is applied.
Excellent.
All right. And Liam, I'm sorry I've been hard on you. This whole thing has been quite stressful, and I have a very clear understanding of what you've been through. Even though we've done things differently, we've done things the same. And I'm sorry I've been such a bitch.
Lee pours a shot, slides it over to you. Not enough people are hard on me.
That's probably true, too. But I take my shot and step out the door.
All right, so who's going up the arch ground? Casey is, Lee is,
I am.
Philip is.
I go, before going, I go over to Dr. Marshall, and I pull out of my bag the reed flute. And I set it on the table in front of her. I don't know what's about to happen, but Lee and I are going to go talk to the overseers. This was your sister's. I learned to play it, and on the boat, I would practice every night. She was amazing with it. I'm not. But it means a lot to me. And if I don't come back, you should have it.
She takes it without saying a word and just nods.
Out the door?
I walk over, well, as he's doing that, I walk over to the crew. I go, gentlemen, I believe the boat belongs to Lee's mom.
You mean Joe's mom?
Sorry. No, he did, yeah. Joe's
Right.
Lee walks over
And says, yeah. I know what you meant.
Yeah.
I think Alejandro would be a fine captain. He takes out his shotgun and he lays it on the table. The Ists took that from us, from all of our weapons. And this was the gun that killed Joe. If you make it back onto the boat, you make it away from St. Louis, drop that in the middle of the river.
We can do that. But only after we finish. We have a law of evens. If it took Joe's life, it has to take one of theirs. Then we can drop it in the river. Till then, it's unsettled. It knows the taste of an innocent man's blood, but not a guilty man's blood.
I hope one day people can really just stop killing each other. Goodbye. And Lee turns around and walks out the door. Walks side by side with Philip.
Okay. Casey has already ditched the vast majority of his possessions.
You ready to do the best dancing of your life?
I think this might be the one time when I don't do any dancing at all. And I just tell a story.
Well, you might have to do some dancing to get to the right person to tell the story to.
That's true.
You guys...
One sec. Philip? I'm really angry with you.
Lee, I'm really angry with myself. And I'm still angry with you.
Everyone's angry with me.
I'm not.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's try and get out of this so that we can live a long and happy life and then try to figure out a way to be friends again and not be angry with each other.
Pop's lived a pretty long time angry and bitter at everybody.
That wasn't living.
You know, he had a saying.
You never even met Pops.
Oh, I just was going to assume it was something like, ow, ow, I'm on fire.
That time at the cat house, he did say that.
But he was in the toilet.
Yeah.
It's like it's on fire.
He loves cats.
That's why the family crest looks strangely like a Purina flag. Red and white checkers.
All right, let's go.
All right, you guys make your way up the hill toward the...
You know they're just going to say thanks, shake our hand, and let us go, right?
toward the Westford Expansion Museum, or whatever it's called now. And
The part you don't mention is the hands won't be attached to us at the time.
Ooh.
as the three of you get close, because it's fairly obvious where you're headed, one of the soldiers breaks away from the squad that he's with as the rest of them, and kind of hang back and watch. And I don't think you're supposed to be up this way. Why don't you go back down the hill? hostel there with everything you need.
We need to speak with the overseers. Lee smiles, hold up his hands. He's like, I understand that you are not going to walk us right and see them, and that we're going to have to do a lot of things and talk to a lot of people and make a lot of explanations. So I understand that. But you need to tell us no. We need to see the overseers. We have something to tell them.
Well, let's get this started. Who are you and what do you want?
Lee stops, smiles. Hi, my name's Lee McCormick.
He pauses for a moment, does not accept your hand. He just kind of pauses for a moment, thanks, says, all right, Lee, come with us. We'll take you to see him.
These guys too?
Yeah. He turns to his squad, says, you two, see if you can find the girl. And
Lee kind of looks to the side at Philip. He doesn't say anything, but he gives you that, oh, fuck look.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually been told to expect you eventually. Lee? I think you're short a few friends, but...
That's okay, everyone hates me.
I don't even know you.
You just tried to mend fences.
You did.
Lee, I just met you. I don't
He's
know.
being hyperbolic.
No.
That means he's expressing something in the sorry.
No, I don't think
Motor's not there,
No.
and he doesn't say hyperbolic there.
I'm not sure who all you're expecting, but we're not all still alive.
Well,
Well, the one that I was told mattered most, I'm going to guess I just saw running towards one of the boats, so we'll make do with what we've got.
let's save the stories for the grand show.
You guys are taken to one of the legs of the arch where concrete steps go downward into the underground, where it's cool down there. I mean, as it is everywhere, it's fall. But there's a stillness about it. Up above, there's noise. There's the sounds of the river. There's people. There's the occasional bird. But down here, there's nothing. No movement of the wind. Just this cavernous room where most of the original walls have been torn down with new woodwork put up. Very nice woodwork. These are good, clean planks that are painted, that are stained. And I don't mean stained as in like somebody
With
spilled
blood.
coffee. Yeah, I mean like properly stained. There's various of the black and white segregated, the like black ones I want on the other, segregated crest of the overseer hung in several places. There's military men standing around. You see,
Is it still a museum, or is all that removed?
they have mostly removed. There's a few things they have left behind that now serve more as shrine or monument, but the museum aspects have been removed.
Dr. Marshall with them?
No.
Okay.
And you guys are taken underneath hanging artificial lighting, past some of the doors, through it's just not a huge area, but enough of a winding maze of hallways and side rooms and such. It's actually a little disorienting by the time you get there, until you are led into a room with a large table, banquet table sort of thing, upon which is spread out a very detailed map of the city of St. Louis and the surrounding areas as it exists currently. Not as it exists in the real today, but as it exists at the date of the game. And sitting at the head of that table, his mask hung off the side of his chair, is an older man with long snow-white hair and a thick snow-white beard. The last time you saw him, he was beneath a skull, sitting at the head of a trial. And now he sits without the mask on and without all of the pomp and circumstance. And there's a strength about him, there's a determination about him, but without all of that presentation. He's just a whole lot more human. And he watches the group of you enter. And needless to say, you guys have been, you've been disarmed.
Right.
Just in case that somehow was not clear.
I didn't say it, but I intended to leave all the weapons with the crew.
Okay.
It was assumption we would be disarmed, so why bother bringing them?
And he watches you, and once he recognizes you, his eyes light up, and he actually begins to smile a bit. Not an evil, sort of smile, but actually he looks genuinely pleased. And watching you come in, he says, let's see how I'm doing. Lee McCormick, Philip Carr, something or other, and a pit fighter. Close?
I nod.
The pit fighter's name is Casey.
Casey, of course.
He has a beautiful singing voice.
If only we were here for opera. Why don't you sit down?
I do.
Or shall we start?
We can either start at the beginning or the end. The beginning is what we know, and it's full of holes. The end is what you know and why we're expected.
Well, let's start in the middle of them. Why'd you come here?
We've been a pawn in a game that's led to this entire civil war within the city. And we're tired of being pushed around and used by an outside party to influence what's going on here. People are dying, and we don't want that responsibility.
Willing pawns? Knowing pawns?
No, and that's the problem.
Well, I think there's a difference between willing and fully knowing.
Do you understand that you were manipulating circumstances in the region?
No.
No. You had genuinely no idea.
I understood that I was manipulating people. I did not understand that I was manipulating circumstance within the region.
Ah. So you understood that you were manipulating people that were in positions of power.
No.
He was manipulating us on the boat with him, around him.
The people I was manipulating had no regional power.
I wonder if Duchess would agree with that assessment, not having regional power, I mean. I wonder if the disputing parties in Herman would agree that they are powerless. I wonder if...
At the time of manipulation, they were.
Do you know of the outside organization that's behind all of this?
Was that who you were working for?
No.
No.
We work for ourselves. We just wanted to make money.
Do you
on
understand what the phrase work for means? You're a man of commerce. Did you do something and accept payment for it?
From them? No, we didn't.
I did.
The rest of the crew didn't. And we didn't know that he was.
I lied and obfuscated that fact to them.
Thank you. Philip, thank you.
Thank you.
His honesty is the reason that you may get through the next 6 hours with your head still attached to your neck. What I need is the unfiltered truth. If you tell me the unfiltered truth, then I will be far more inclined to reconsider whatever rage I may be feeling right now. If you bullshit me even the slightest bit in an attempt to save your own ass, I guarantee you will lose it in the process. Have I made myself absolutely crystal clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir. And we're here to tell the entire story and what we know.
The man you were working for, I don't care what verb you want to use, where is he?
The rat?
The pale guy, red eyes.
He's dead.
I stopped working for him the moment the pit fight started and I understood what was going on.
I knew nothing about him until after that. And the first time... No. I stopped myself. The first time I saw him was here in St. Louis. The second time I saw him, our friend Joe put a bullet through his eye.
Philip, who in this city, right now, do you love the most?
Why do you ask that?
Think very carefully.
I know the answer to it.
Then why don't you go ahead and give me the answer? Who in the city do you love the most?
My daughter. You are one of now only a handful of people that knows that she exists. That is what I am putting on the table, risking here. Giving that information away, not knowing if you knew that she existed or not.
Out of curiosity, what is it that you, all of you, want to come from this meeting? What's the outcome you're hoping for?
Lee, may I go first? Go ahead. I'm not sure what he's hoping to come from it, so I'll let him answer separately. What I want to come from it is, right now, I see an outside force that is destabilizing St. Louis. I believe that it would only do this because it wants to move in itself. That needs to be stopped. That is behind the wars, and if it continues, people will continue to die. The people in my town that I care for will end up being collateral damage, and the entire system is going to fall apart. I want to give this information so you can use it for peace and to stop these people, whoever they are, wherever they come from. That is what I want out of this meeting.
You were able to influence events in a profound way. I know that you had outside help in doing it, outside help that may have known quite a few things you didn't know. But creating those changes, that still required the execution of it. It requires an amount of acumen, intelligence, wits.
Sir, if I may, I don't understand what we did. We came and we testified.
And yet...
But I don't understand how any of that had the impact that we're seeing out here. We've testified, but our testimony didn't matter. A gunshot went off and war happened.
Well, let me perhaps fill in some blanks for you. You were in a town that was destabilized twice over. Once because of a petty dispute between House Holloway and House Collar that should have been solvable within the established parameters that our society has. Disputes like it occurred in the past and have been solved. It was also caught between, on the one hand, the political forces of both the local mayor and St. Louis, and on the other hand, local power brokers, a rich man, angry workers. One fuse got lit, as far as I understand the timeline, while you were still in the town.
And
you don't need to explain anything, just listen. The other got lit when you were on the way here. As soon as you arrived here, a Cold War between House Collar and House Holloway came very close to becoming a hot war. For just a flash, it was a hot war. But I managed to stop it. Things were manageable. We can manage one town in a state of chaos. We can manage 2 houses out of 21 being at each other's throats. These are things we can handle. Then you go south, and whether you're responsible for these events or not, I don't care. But these are the events that occurred. You go south, and now there is a substantial military force sitting in the town of Herman, and I have no idea what the hell Thomas Barnes intends to do with it. If anything. Is he protecting his own ass? Is he preparing to fight a war we don't even know is coming? Is he about to declare his independence? In the midst of all of this, seeing the chaos, our own suburbs rise up in revolt. In the midst of that, we send a caravan, specifically under the flag of House Millard, who handles the major trade between St. Louis and its most autonomous satellite town, Cape Girardeau. That caravan never makes it, and our scouts find all of them dead along the road.
God.
We don't know what happened to them, and we don't know what's happening down there right now.
Would you like to know?
We have information that we will share about what's going on with the ISTs. But before we get to that, there are other players that have already been involved in the story you've told so far that you haven't mentioned that I don't know if you know about.
Let me get to one more that I do know about.
Okay.
Carver clan has not communicated with this city in any way, shape, or form in decades. Not in my entire time as overseer. They sent a missive. I'll be polite enough to call it that. It might as well have been vomit on a used napkin, but they sent a missive. That they're giving us an ultimatum. Either we give them a friend of yours that they're particularly interested in, or they burn the countryside with no care for self. Now, any one of these things, whatever's happening in Cape Girardeau, whatever's happening with a military force building in Herman, whatever the Carver clan wants, whatever's going on in the suburbs of my city, any one of those things we could easily fix. Any two would be a strain on our resources and require quite a bit of careful planning. But if you will excuse the moment of self-indulgence, I'm pretty sure I could handle. 3 of them, much less 4 of them. You have not, or whoever it is that was manipulating you, I'm not interested in placing blame. If beheading someone would fix this situation, then God damn it, I would behead half this city. But it won't.
Because they're still out there pulling strings. Here is what we know from the beginning of this situation. During the testimony, it was a letter was brought up that indicated payment for the assassination of a messenger. The paper it was on was Silas's, who used to work for House Color. A man who called himself the Rat, the one we spoke about being dead, bought all of his equipment, paid off Cyrus with a boat, and then used that paper to forge that letter. The person that notarized it, we know where he was at the time right after Herman. And he wasn't there to notarize that letter. The timing doesn't work. The entire letter that sparked that was fake.
Cyrus Weiss also was a knowing accomplice in this. He admitted to me as such in the bar not 20 minutes ago. I got the entire confession from him. But he plans on, if caught, lying about it, and also plans on not getting caught.
So that was the first way we know that Rat had pulled strings. Next, we know that he had delivered to the pit fighter, Sunset. I don't know what was delivered, but
Sunset's mother was dying of a disease, I believe, cancer, maybe. Ratman instructed me through various drops and sources, which I can detail if necessary, to pick up a bag in Defiance.
Yes, it was Defiance.
Oh, Defiance. Yeah.
It was Defiance.
At the bar, this bar in Defiance, it was a leather satchel, and to deliver it to Sunset. And this was before Sunset had decided to fight in the pit for House Holloway. He looked in there, spoke with his mother, saw what it was that he was looking at, looked like a pneumatic injector, and then said that he agreed to whatever arrangement that he had pre-made but had not revealed to me. I was simply a messenger. And he handed me the payment I had been receiving. Some strange, made-up fiat currency created by the Rat Man for such exchanges.
we believe his payment was that he committed suicide on the pit floor.
So that his mother could get a cure for her disease.
We know that Ratman was also working with the Ists. He had been working with Ma Carver, had been manipulating her for his means as well. We know that one of the leaders of his organization is in your suburbs right now as a general, a captain in the fighters, pulling their strings.
What name is he going by?
Leopard?
What was the name he gave us? Check my notes. He gave us his name,
Did he? Because I don't believe I did. I mean, just out of character, I don't believe that I wrote a name down. I just wrote down his rank as captain, and then that he was leopard.
Checking my notes to see if we did or not.
I can give you the location of their planning base he was in.
Description and location should be enough. We'll find them.
Okay. So we give that information
Okay.
over. We also know that further to the south...
You might want to move on that piece of information quickly. If they have spies here, then word is probably getting back to him that we walked in the door.
I kind of just wait to see what if he sends anyone off for that.
No, he doesn't.
Okay.
He's still listening.
All right. We also know that to the south, there are trains running that we would have expected to have been crates, goods, but they're running passenger cars. People are being moved around just to the south of your territory. We don't know that this is connected, but it is my belief, based on what I have seen, that whoever is this organization that is using animal names, that is destabilizing St. Louis, is doing so and is responsible for the moving people, preparing for a next step.
Do you know who is the power behind that organization?
I can only think of one organization that has that kind of power, that kind of reach, and that kind of technology. And while we don't advertise this, it's a fairly open secret that we have regular communication with both military and civilian command at the Naval Air Station. And they insist they have nothing to do with this. We've enjoyed very positive relations with them ever since the war.
This group had technology, medical technology on them that we believe was nanotechnology, that is like nothing anyone has heard of, that can literally heal a destroyed arm in a matter of a day. Each of them seems to have had multiple vials of it on them.
And that means this captain may have some.
Yes.
Be worth studying.
Lee is not going to agree with me on this because we don't see eye to eye on it. The condition that Ratman was in, based on our talking with our doctor and our understanding, seems to be similar to a condition that people that have spent most of their life in space had. Lee doesn't believe that anyone could possibly be alive on the space colonies or the moon colonies. The rest of us believe that he came from either a space station or the moon. Not saying the rest of the organization came from there, but his physical attributes seem to support that. And he had technology no one here knew anything about. And that goes all the way to Moresto. We have given them what was left of one of the vials of this medicine, and they had no record of it. As for the Ist, Malcarver is dead. They have a power vacuum and struggle. They don't We were running. I don't know who's in charge, but I'm assuming it's a man named Yak. He's the one that killed Ma Carver, and he's a vicious man that wants things back to the way they used to be. And they had been working with the rat as well.
I need you to understand something. This territory is not simply destabilized in a direction toward collapse. Its collapse is imminent. The houses may begin fighting amongst themselves at any moment. There's a popular revolt on the edges of the city. You're telling me there's an army building to the south. If the Carver clan was actually to recall their people and bands from all over the central and western parts of the states, they could muster an army that may not be well organized, but it would be a horde the size of which...
You have planes and we know where they're at. You can drop a bomb on them.
If they were gathered together, certainly. Spread out across the better part of the state. What do you drop a bomb on?
And besides, they won't attack the city directly. They'll attack the farms and mines and
burn
resources.
their way here.
They,
until the land is robbed of both its resources and the people that know how to work them, and then leave us to starve in the city, or wait until we run out of bullets and shells and then slaughter us all.
I'm out of my depths here. I would hope that knowing about the third party would unite the houses.
No, it's not that. That's not what would unite the houses. What could possibly unite the houses is knowledge that they are being manipulated, and that this manipulation will take the power away from them. The houses united could then possibly get the external force. What's the force? The rebels. What are they called?
Oh, it's the Missouri National Guard.
Yeah. Well, then hopefully some line of communication could be made with the National Guard to get them to somehow, some way, believe this conspiracy, so that they would understand that they too are being used and manipulated. And hopefully the two forces can unite, because you're not stopping the Carver clan. But both groups are infiltrated. You have to find the infiltrators, root them out, then start working to unite.
And we don't know what the end goal of Barnes is. But we know he's afraid of losing his power and life, and he's afraid of... He brought Temper's militia in to protect him. That the city's protected is aside to that man.
I feel that Herman is possibly a non-issue in this. He sees the rumblings. He sees the imminent collapse. He's bought an army. He's circled the wagons, and he's trying to weather the storm.
A non-issue, but also a possible resource.
Possibly.
Temper's militia is a force that can be brought to bear
Again,
in this.
Unite the houses, stabilize, make peace with the Guard, unite with them. Suddenly, that frees up any reason for the force in Herman.
You have information. You have resources. Clearly, you have the ability to organize yourselves and get something done. If we share the common goal of maintaining the stability of the region, then I set before you the 4 tasks. Herman, the suburbs, the Carver clan, and Cape.
What help can we draw on from you?
Before we get to that, I want to know which one you're willing to address.
The suburbs. It has to be the suburbs.
I kind of look at you. Herman would be the easiest for us to address, but the biggest impact would be the suburbs.
It has to be the suburbs. The houses must unite. The machine must carry on. Without the machine, there's no point in any of this. Without the suburbs, the guard uniting, the houses uniting, none of it will work. You need the core, the base first. Herman, and he looks right at Philip, he goes, Herman is protected. Herman is safe for now.
Oh, I know it's not the important cog. It was just the one I thought that we could have the most impact on.
You've never had enough ambition.
Do you think we can deal with the suburbs?
He said Herman, Burbs, Carver Clan, and what was the fourth one?
Cape.
Cape, thank you.
Philip, I thought that I could leave St. Louis to change the world. You're asking me, do I think that we can handle the suburbs? Yes, I think we can handle the suburbs.
Do you have any idea how to do it?
Do I have to?
The door opens, and one of the soldiers escorts in Modemar and then closes the door behind him.
I think you were wrong, thank God.
Sit down, please.
What was I wrong about now?
Oh.
Sit down, please.
Thank you, old man.
Why does the Carver clan want you?
Because I'm Ma Carver's kin.
Nephew.
Which, in their eyes, makes you what? Their new leader?
Yeah.
Sister's son.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ma Carver is a title shared between two sisters. The old sister that, correct me if I'm wrong, the old sister, the original Ma Carver, is his mother? No.
He's actually
yeah. As I said that, I realized
grandnephew.
right.
He's a grandnephew.
So, grandnephew, and I line out the genealogy real quick.
I actually do have the genealogy written down here, but it's really... I wrote it here in case somebody asked, but it's not that super interesting.
And then
but he's grandnephew.
So why they really want him, that man Yak I mentioned, he wants to pull the strings and be in charge.
Well,
but he doesn't want the...
religiosity. There's two factions.
He doesn't want the target on his head.
There's two factions.
And someone that's from a family
Caesar.
line creates legitimacy.
Exactly.
At least the image of it.
Yeah, he's a jack-off.
You know they're here asking for you.
I'm not surprised.
I can't believe that I'm entertaining peaceably diplomats from the Carver clan, if we can call them diplomats, but I am. And it's you they're here to bargain for.
What are they offering?
Maintaining the status quo. Not going to some kind of horde-like ravaging of the land.
They're lying. Yak wants to go back to the old ways.
They're talking. Do you know how profound that is for your people to talk?
Yak specifically wants Cape to be destroyed because Cape killed the original Mal Carver.
Overseer, what happens when you give a man a hammer?
Everything becomes a nail.
And we give Modemar back to whoever, and they have their leader, their legitimacy, and the largest army they have ever pulled together in their history. What happens then? They go back to farming?
No. Savages that wound up don't calm down so easily. There has to be a bloodletting.
It'll be more than a bloodletting with a force that size.
Furlong deep is a bloodletting. But your point is well taken.
Do you believe that we could unite the houses with the truth?
Yes. That still leaves multiple conflicts that I don't know we can simultaneously manage.
One thing at a time. We must unite the houses. We must take back the suburbs and not destroy them. We need those people. We need to get rid of the corruptive influence and get the guard on our side.
If I disagreed with you, I'd have already encircled the suburbs, slaughtered everyone there, and burned down every building in it. But I agree with you.
You're not a man with a hammer. You're a man with a scalpel.
Isn't he the guy that drops the bombs on him?
We do. Yes, that's sure. Yes, I have dropped bombs on them.
But he hasn't dropped all the bombs on all of them.
Okay.
All right. You know where this individual is. You know what this individual looks like. You believe this individual knows a fair amount. And did you guys mention Songbird? No. Okay. Have to have the person alive. Means at the very least I have to give you some means of keeping this person alive. Tranquilizer gun. Take a bit to take effect. But should this person try to poison themselves, well, you said they carry around vials of some kind of highly advanced healing serum. So even if he attempts suicide, if you're fast enough, you should be able to stabilize them. What do you need?
I have a plan. I need trusted men who can fight. I need a place that's close to the border of the conflict, but secluded. I need a radio, a concealable one. All of my friends need arms, possibly armor. It's dangerous out there. I need some sort of pass that will let me past your guards without question. Let my friends pass the guards without question. He wants to show us something. I want him to show us that. I want to communicate to you what that is and where that is, so that your force of trusted good men can intercept us, lay in wait, capture him, and get out quickly.
You have it. All of it. I can't outfit you too well. It would be too conspicuous, but I will at least also make sure that you have fundamental arms and armor should you lack it. I guess
Brodo's going to go rub one out. Get some armor.
Yes.
Actually, he's the one character who already has armor. When I wrote his character sheet, I went way out of my way to give him armor.
Yeah, I think.
Was it when we were still gaming at Dave's? Was it Pat who was in the bathroom just because it had like paper thin walls?
It was Dave.
So because somebody was in there just taking this house rocking dump, and with each horrible noise was cracking himself up.
Well, that could have been a couple of people. It was Dave who would not stop the game. Like Brodo would be saying, "Why did my character do? My character do this?" Like, oh my god.
There was, I don't know who it was, but there was, I don't know, somebody who used to do that.
Mm-hmm. So, suburbs. What do you need from us to unite the houses?
Even over the sound of the toilet, I could hear the mocking. I should probably think about heading out soon.
That's fine. That's fine. I was about to. I had a couple stopping points. I'm about to hit one of them.
Excellent.
What do you need from us that doesn't require any of us to be on the gallows?
You on the gallows isn't going to solve this. It would be an act of spite and nothing more at this point.
It would probably be used as a rally for the rebels.
Someone would claim you as their martyr, and quite frankly, I'm not that petty anyway.
No one claim me. Was this guy overseer when I left?
Oh yeah. What I need from the houses is evidence of an existential threat to them. They are willing to bicker so long. The entire system that exists in St. Louis was designed to accept, to tolerate a certain amount of pressure. There's a release for it. The houses disagree on something. They're allowed to fight up to a certain point, to have a very limited conflict, and then they get on with it. But there's a system built into that allows them to risk, to gamble, to play their machinations, and the role of the overseers is to sit up there and to create theater that makes that experience sufficiently satisfying to the baser parts of human nature that it works. But they have to understand that at any given moment, to go outside of that is to risk too much. To put entire cities, particularly big ones, up for grabs. To break the rules in such a way that would allow not one, but many houses to rally for their dissolution. To do something that would step out of line so far that they understand that it's like playing a game of chess by moving only the king. They're risking everything, and it simply has to be not worth it. If you think this individual, who's a manipulator, can bring back a story, even if we have to beat it out of him, that will tell them of an existential threat to their being, then that's what I need. If you don't have confidence that he is that threat, that he is simply a manipulator, then I need evidence of that threat. Whether it's the Carver clan, whether it's this supposed army mustering to the south, if you can bring me evidence that Temper's militia would be used offensively, or would be used to cede territory, then that will get them working together, because the stakes will become too high. It's beyond the pressure that the system was designed to let off.
Temper's militia is not there to threaten them. We can't use Herman for that. And that card has been played at least 2 or 3 times already. It's an old story. We have to tell them the truth. We have to bring them this person. We could start by getting Cyrus in here and making him talk. What happened to him anyway? Looks at Monomar.
I was tailing him when the guards caught up to me. Did they just let Cyrus go? Or?
Oh yeah, they had no interest in him.
Yeah, when the guards came, they said you guys were in trouble. I needed to come with you, or come with them to see you. So, but he's still holed up wherever I tailed him to.
If we give them anything other than the real threat will still be out there pulling the strings.
Absolutely.
And it will only be a temporary measure.
Absolutely.
Suburbs, then. If that's your plan, bring me this man. Alive. I'll do anything that I can to enable your success, and to make sure there is a highly trained squad waiting to intercept you on the way back.
Capture Cyrus White. Put him Weiss. Put him in a hole. Get him to start talking. When he starts talking, get him to tell the truth. He will fill in some holes and possibly...
I can't. The same reason that I can't do anything to you. Because the moment I take an action against anyone who's a known affiliate of House Color, whether I intended to or not, the city of St. Louis will have taken a side in the dispute between the two houses. He has to walk, just as you have to walk. And he has to remain unharmed, just as you have to remain unharmed.
All right. The suburbs. We plan on operating off of... What's Joe's last name? What was Joe's last name?
Crowder. Kreider. Look at me. Shame on me.
James Owen Kreider.
Well, I mean, I don't call myself Lee constantly, but...
That's true.
but yeah,
But you're just not caught up in yourself like I am.
Yeah, James Owen Kreider.
We will be operating out of Captain Joe Kreider's boat. Miss Lily's Vine. It's docked down on the shore. Who should we expect as far as the people you're sending? We were tricked once.
Let's say, give me 2 facts about Miss Lily's Vine that no one but you would know.
If you crawl into the bilge, the words, "Fuck you, Joe," is carved into the boards.
All right. And?
Casey has a beautiful singing voice.
Everybody knows that.
No one outside the boat knows that. And no one would suspect it. No offense.
Very well. Then the call and response. When you see these people, they will say to you, Casey has a beautiful singing voice, and you will respond to them with, "Fuck you, Joe."
I can do that.
And that's how you will know they are the ones I sent for you.
Excellent. Is there anything else, Overseer?
No. Best of luck to you, for the sake of all of us.
Fuck you, Joe.
Joe, or not Joe, Songbird.
Joe, you're in heaven. Somebody says, "Fuck you, Joe."
Were you remaining in the...
No. So I wanted to go after Motomar. So my intention was to track Motomar. If I can find him, great. If I can't, that's fine too. And eventually, I would search the city. If I can't find him, I would make it back to Miss Lily's Vine.
Okay. You saw Motomar get hauled off by 2 St. Louis city guards.
Did I see where he stopped? Or I should say, more accurately, did I see where Cyrus went?
Where Cyrus went?
Yeah.
Cyrus went down to the Piasaw.
Okay.
He went down to his boat.
Right. Well, in that case, I'll go down to the Vine.
Okay. You go down to the Vine. And
Let's just think outside the box.
Joe, he wasn't Joe, Songbird.
Just call him Lee.
Lee, as you are sitting on Miss Lily's Vine. And if this was a movie, we'd have a scene back up at the overseers where you're talking to one of their military officers who's going over a map of the city and picking out routes and rendezvous points and is handing you guys weapons and is basically discussing all the details with you. And as this is going on, the scene that would be cut back and forth to is, Songbird, you're sitting on the Vine, and Alejandro has sitting on a table on the deck a navigational map of the major waterways throughout the state of Missouri. High-level map. So this obviously doesn't dig down into the details of each river.
Right.
But it's just a high-level map of like the Missouri River, the Mississippi, the Merrimack, the Illinois, things like that. The Quiver, the Black, the Current. Not the Black River, I'm sorry, Black River's wrong state. But
the Rio Grande.
The Rio Grande, the Nile, the Amazon.
Styx.
What's the Dead Sea?
That's not a river. The Euphrates, the Tigris. But no, okay, so as you're looking over this map, you start to get a bit of a headache. And your eyes feel drawn to one particular feature. You've seen this map before. You know for a fact you've seen it before. There's a picture in your mind, and usually when you get these memories, it's just still frames. You know, there might be a brief, like, little bit of motion or a little bit of sound, but this one is a bit more three-dimensional in the way that you view it. You've seen this map before, but it was not laying on a table. Someone was holding it in their hand, pointing to it. Same print run, same maker. Whatever cartographer made this map, made the one that you were looking at. And in this memory, you see Leopard there with the Rat Man. And he's holding a dark blue bound book that's open, and there's numbers and diagrams and pictures of constellations, and he closes it, puts this map of Missouri on top of it, and points to a particular spot in the middle of the state. And without even meaning to, you in the real world pantomime that moment or that movement, and you put your finger down on the map. And the moment you do, it comes flooding back to you all at once that whatever it is they got out of the map, the reason they needed the carvers is because whatever it is, the thing that terrified you, the thing that they needed that book to find, that's where it crashed.
Dun, dun, dun.
Didn't we see the X on their map? Or was that so when we were in the Carver clan, we saw a map and there was an X marked on a map.
That was the cave. That was the cave.
Okay. All right.
You're correct. You did see a map with an X, but that was
And that's not the same location that he's...
That's correct. It's not the cave.
Thank God.
Space water.
Nobody's going to go back and get space spades. Spades. Post game.
That's right.
Good game. This is a very solid game.
Yeah, it was intense.
Yeah.
I was curious where you guys were going to go. Part of me really did think that you might choose to go back to, because you know it the best and have the most sway there, to go back to Herman. And if you had, then from there I was probably going to nudge you towards Cave, which may still happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, that could still happen.
This are my game notes for the game for next time. Not 3 pages.
I had also... Porter's doing a good job. I had also contemplated at one point...
For the record, I love Brodor's notes, but I don't like Chad's complaining about it.
You just didn't want to hear him bitch.
That's exactly it.
Chad's like your gaming wife. You just don't want to hear him bitch.
So what I need to do is I need to scan my notes in so Dan can post them, number one. And number two, I need to put the loose pages in a binder.
No.
So I'm not just shuffling
Number 0,
through shit.
You need to fill out those blanks.
I started tonight.
Okay.
I did. How did I get away from Rat and Leopard? And did they assume me dead? Did they shoot me in the head and then assume that I was dead? And then I came to and I injected myself? Did someone help me? Did someone save my life?
Did you spend 3 years in a Guatemalan insane asylum?
No, I'm not Modemar.
It's very... The timelines that are lining up are very interesting. The they entirely expected us to be in the camp. Far enough beforehand that, that she would go there. That was before we ever met with the Rat Man down south. I also find it interesting that in a lot of different situations, Philip would side with the rebels. But in this one, the outside force is the bigger threat.
It was so sad.
He wants the machine to fall apart.
I was so sad when the overseer asked Philip, "Why are you doing this?" And then Philip was like, "Well, my reasons are most likely different than Lee's, and here are my reasons. I want people to stop killing each other, and blah blah blah."
And he never asked.
He never asked me because mine is totally different.
Well, the overseer is just trying to establish one thing, which is he's a man who is. He knows that if he's going to be remembered one of two ways. He is either going to be remembered as his last name is Marchand, so he's going to be remembered as Marchand the Great, who saved St. Louis, or he's going to be remembered as the guy who let it fall. He's going to be remembered as one of the two, and he knows that. And as a result, he was willing to put every beef he had with you guys aside, but he needed one thing, the truth. And so that was his thin red line, was if you were going to lie to him, then you were of no use anyway. And he's either going to directly kill you or send you somewhere he knew you would get killed.
Out of character, did he know about Philip's daughter?
Sort of. He has a suspicion.
Okay.
He did not know for sure, but he has a suspicion.
Because Philip gave that out thinking of it as a huge risk. That was his trump card to show that he was putting everything on the table.
Well, it's something else. I contemplated an approach for this game, and I didn't do it. Because I decided it wasn't the approach I wanted to take, was that I realized that if he wanted to, he could collect leverage on almost everyone and everything in play.
Yeah.
He could take Emily as leverage on Thomas Barnes. He could take Leanne as leverage on this party. He could take Motomar as leverage on the IS. I mean, now he couldn't do a whole lot about the suburbs, and he couldn't do a whole lot about whatever this army is to the south, because he's not telling you, or he's not clear what it is, or if it's even real.
That's the choo-choo revolution.
Correct.
And that was one thing I was kind of looking for, was did he seem to know about it at all? And I got the impression, whether he actually did or not, Philip left with the impression of that was news to him, and he had no idea.
He suspected. And he has reasons he suspects, which you guys may or may not find out.
The space coins are worth nothing. They're zero. They're nothing.
Well, they were worth something until you put a bullet in the head of the guy that was cashing them out.
Songbird didn't do anything like that.
If they're made by a spaceman, they're still space coins.
And he's from the fucking moon. Boom. Moon man. What? Man from the moon. Not Andy Kaufman.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
They're basically.
I still think space station.
They were.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It was his way of monetizing favors.
Right. It's the very definition of fiat currency.
Yeah, and he was totally willing to honor it until you guys blew that off.
And Lee's whole thing is, when he was collecting the coins, I mean, he's an economist. He knows what these are, which is nothing. But he got it. He was not doing what he did for pay. He was doing it because he was playing the game so that he could find out more, because he needed to know why this was going on, what was going on, who was behind it. So he was playing this game, and then he got in too deep.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, one of the reasons Philip stepped up for the conversation, he knew Lee was ready to tell the truth, but he also had a feeling the overseer wouldn't believe a word Lee had to say because of the history.
Mm-hmm. Lee's never lied to St. Louis or the... What's really weird
Philip
is that
sees him as having that reputation, though.
Yeah, Lee has a reputation in the greater community, because everybody knows who he is, as being incredibly honest. And really, the only people Lee has ever lied to
is the group,
is his friends.
He only lies to those closest to him.
I know, right?
At this point, Philip believes everyone in the machine is a liar because it's necessary to survive in the machine. So he kind of hoped that the outside perspective might be more believable than somebody that had been inside.
Mm-hmm. Here's what I know. Motomar's a genius. That's what I know.
You're the only person that ever said that.
Alrighty. So, those of you at home, thank you for tuning in. We will catch you on the next game, which I don't know what the timing of will exactly that's going to work because this
next
is
year, definitely.
Well, so
let's come back to that because I'm sure it's real exciting for the people at home.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're right.
So you guys,
yeah, you guys play whenever the fuck you want to play. I don't care.
Thank you. Your own ending for this campaign.
Hey, Casey's got a beautiful singing voice.